What is up, y'all? It's your boy Yaniki coming at you with the next Church of MHA My Hero Academia chapter 336 live stream. I almost said live review, but that's not a thing. Like, that's not what we call that. So how y'all doing today? How are you doing? Tell Aniki. How are you today? You gotta give everybody time to assemble. You know how we do. Let people pull up, give people time to arrive and tell me how their week is going. Hey, Tanisha Greer, Lamar Arrington, MK the baby, Cameron Bailey, Tyler Hawk. Let's go. We're starting off strong. Hey, Virtual Master. All right. Oh, see, look at that. All right. I got a, hey, TJ's here. Tiger, see, I could tell that this chapter is going to start off there because we got people popping in real quick, nice and easy. Love to see it. Let's get this message popped in the Discord. Let's see. Hey, Alves, you're here. Let's go. Of course, you can make homemade pickles. Hey, Sosa. All right, let's see. Alves, the way I look at it is that it only matters if you're spoiled if it impacts the reading experience for you. So if you're still tense until the moment of whatever you got spoiled on happens and you enjoy it, then it's annoying, but ultimately okay. Let's try to take that approach. We're going to try to take a positive approach here. Hey, it's the groom. Everybody wished Buried Alive Gaming, you know, a happy marriage. That was the wedding I was at. Should give him some love. Responsible for possibly the most well-received costume change midstream and ever. So let's see. Yeah, Machina pulling up. Let's see. All right. See, I'm seeing all these people that I recognize. Might just have to start. I think we're gonna start. We started. All right. My Hero Academia 336. Oh yeah, that's right. I just remembered. Oh man. So first off, we get the popularity poll color page. So here's what I'm gonna say about this. I always say, and I had a lot of people like, oh, that's not really true, blah, blah, blah. But this color page and the way that these popularity polls go should let you know that just because you see somebody speaking Japanese on Twitter and you see somebody online speaking Japanese saying that they like the villains or whatever, one, doesn't mean they're actually Japanese. Two, it doesn't reflect or necessarily indicate the larger trend. Just like there's a bunch of people on Twitter who will complain about the filler episodes, but objectively, it is one of the most well-received episodes as far as statistics go in Japan from the last season. So you kind of got to accept the fact that they like something and like things totally different than we do, and we got to just see how that keeps impacting stuff as the story progresses. So that's all I'm gonna say about that color page. Like, like the only thing that I'd be kind of offended by is like present Mike, but even that, I mean, like some of y'all are saying anime fans, which I agree that present Mike is only there off the anime. Little odd though that Kurogiri ain't getting no love in exchange, but whatever. And all the villains are just not there now, so it is what it is. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. Oh, and now we there. Watkins is here. Palms are perfect. All right. So My Hero 336, we starting. And we open up with Bakugo and the Deku sparring. Boom. We picking up right where we were told the last chapter was going to begin. Endeavor taught us that build up and release stuff, but I ain't settling for just in the blast. I'm saving up beads of sweat for a barrage of booms all at once. That's what powers my new cluster upgrade and gives a big boost to every move I got. It takes a little while to heat up enough though, hence the winter costume. Overheating drains me fast, so it's a choice I gotta make. Todoroki is also trying something different. So we get he's using. So I kind of talked about this where all quirks and when they like quote awaken, like people were talking about with Bakugo's quirk being like an awakening. Um, he's building up extra sweat. He's like using bigger amounts of sweat, giant globs of sweat. I talked about how potentially he would be able to up the purity quality, like the quality of the explosions between like the amount of water in his sweat versus the actual compound, etc. So this is kind of him just being able to generate a higher quantity of liquid, which is just him dehydrating faster ultimately. So there we go. Basically, it's reacting more like when the organs in his hands that secrete it are similar to like a snake's venom that can spit. Think of it like that, but in his palms, which means that we may get to a point one day where Bakugo can just squirt his explosive fluids on people out of his palms and then light them on fire. That's a future that we may be approaching. So, something to think about. Let's see. He looks like he's doing like throwing up hand seals. All right, still figuring it out though. I think I control my left side just as well as my right now. In order to achieve a body even Dobby can't burn, right and left, my entire body as one. All right. He's trying to do some intense, super hyper intensive temperature regulations. They're saying this is going to be an all-out war or whatever. Aren't the top two bad guys kind of on the ropes now? Plus, we got Gigantomachia tied down and snoozing, right? So, yep, they're just continuously drugging Gigantomachia. There we go. So, when they say that the laws are thrown out, they mean also for the heroes too. They are no longer worried about whether or not it's legal or ethical to sit around and keep somebody in a consistently drug-induced state. We're just out here keeping them under wraps now. That's how it is now. Which, you know what, that is kind of a logical conclusion to that plot line to a certain degree. Whether that's like the true conclusion or not, I don't really think so. But whatever. Point is, Machia being just consistently drugged seems like the only viable solution. No. Plus we got Gigantomachia tied down, snoozing, right? Well, can't we make quick work of these villains once we find them? Now, Bakugo, there are 3 reasons why that ain't the case. Of course, 3 whole reasons. First, finding them all is unlikely. Sure, the good guys found the Nomu Hanger, Shigaraki's hideout, and all those secret labs, but no one's ever tracked down the big bad himself. Ever since he lost to All Might, old nutsack face is the world champ at hide and seek. So I just want to say that if you've been watching these streams for a long time, you've heard East specifically refer to All for One as old nutsack face. So props to East for accurately predicting what Bakugo's nickname for All for One would be. Also, I'm genuinely kind of surprised this ended up being the Viz translation for My Hero. Momo coming in, reason 2. Gross, knock it off her. Shigaraki's body wasn't even complete last time. While this time our own forces have thinned to half their former numbers. Yep. And 3rd, they're the ones with the fingers on the trigger. If he might have lost that search quirk in the battle against the US, they still get to make the opening move. That's why our side's calling up every able body we got. Sheer numbers will give us a chance. And Afro Deku return. If nothing else, we can choose how to enter this fight. Hopefully, in a way that steers it in our fashion. I'd better rejoin the search too. Don't you mean we had better? The right hand karate chop, which if I'm, man, look at that. Yes. All right. Oh no, why is it doing that? This shite freaked out for a little bit. No. If nothing else, we can choose how to enter this fight. Da, da, da. Okay, cool. No, right. On that note, I think I can go for a quick stroll. I don't see why not. Relations between the hero course and the evacuees have grown warmer since Uraraka's stirring speech. Oh, shucks. I guess. Even with his back against the wall, All For One's got that grin on his face. All right, and then we cut off to the trees. Ever since all the stuff in Gunga and Jaku, you've been down to the dumps. I mean, we all felt that way, but still, you don't have a choice. Another order has just come in from him. Don't worry, this is just like always. Even if they intercept the message, it's in code. They'll just think it's communication between civilians, and no security cameras will catch us in this spot, right? It's fine, yes, just fine. I had to wonder why you haven't smiled once since Midoriya came back to us. I was just worried. Everything leading up to Camino, you always pulled off just what All For One asked. Fail now and he'll kill us. You know that, Yuga. Oof. 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 Okay, so we see that it is not that Toru is the traitor, like the last page, which shout out to those of you who were like, all right, if Toru's the traitor, Horikoshi's trash, blah, 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 because you have a lot of yolk on your face. And what was interesting is that I had done a previous traitor video where I've stated in that video, and I think we talked about it a little last week, but I'm kind of a believer in multiple traitors, but I primarily pinned it on Dezu. So even with me having done a video on this, I was not freaking out and like ragging on Horikoshi about this traitor thing, because I understood that like there's more to it. And the funny thing is that my student pick has always been Aoyama. So lowercase w for me. The fact that he's doing this all under extortion completely makes sense. Because especially when you look back to when we got the chapter that made a lot of people go, is Aoyama creeping out the window to be a traitor? Nah, he was trying to like explain that he was in a similar situation to Deku when he went for the self-sacrifice play during provisional license. It's important to note that that's the first time, and you notice they mentioned straight up to Camino, that's the first time Aoyama is technically free of All For One and his parents. So he chose that moment to sacrifice himself during the exam to save them, because there was a chance that All For One was locked away and he was finally going to get to be a real hero. So he has to do, like, he wanted to do that for them. So just interesting. And I'll probably end up going back and reading some stuff. That way, if we get a break week, maybe I'll throw out an Aoyama video. But yeah. So yeah. All right. So yeah, let me actually let's see. From nearly the moment you started school here, you've honored his every request. You even provided him the forest training camp location, and nobody was ever the wiser. Mama, Papa, but you must know, we never wanted any of this, and yet it's too late to turn back. You gotta be kidding me. It can't be true. Aoyama, and then, oh, yep, she's having the flashbacks all this time. We only ever wanted to give you a shot at happiness in life. And we get the flashback to the childhood. You want to be the same as the others, Yuga? Yeah, because being different is scary. You had no quirk to call your own, so we just wanted to help you fit in, so you could chase your dreams like the rest of them. Yep, see, if you remember, Ida was talking about dreams. And so, yep. There we go. Let's see. I wasn't wondered how it could be Aoyama since we saw his mom at home with him. Have reasons to be suspicions. I am going to become a 9 out of 10 character. See, she was finding out who the traitor was. Yep. Or basically told us yep, the art thing, that panel with Aoyama got me. Yep. We've been double bamboozled. Like this energy in the chat. I like this energy in the chat. And we're not going to address what people said in reaction to me explaining, talking about Bakugo's distribution and usage of his swag. The thing is, Off One said, friends, maybe there's more traders even within the civilians. And that's the other thing, Pedro, is that I don't think there would be just one trader. I don't think Off One would put all of his eggs as far as getting information and all that other stuff into the Aoyama basket. And like I've mentioned in my own trader video, the reason why I went with Nezu is because of back when Aizawa was a kid, when during the incident that got his friend killed, there's basically an experiment, a Nomu predecessor named Garvey that wakes up, gets activated, and just makes a beeline straight for where Aizawa and Loud Cloud are doing their training. So I was like, no, that's kind of odd. And then I thought about how Doc Ujiko told them during the war arc, back then, what I wanted was to get erasure. And it's like, dog, if you were having access to the UA morgue and all this other stuff 10, 15 years ago, that predates Aoyama being on campus. So you could argue that just every year to 3 years, he gets a new, UA spy, but it seems far more likely that he would just consistently try to have different spies in different areas within the best schools, etc. Yeah, but and Bakugo's power up being kind of gross makes sense because quirks are biological functions. So yeah. All right. We would never have done it if we'd known how this would play out. We never would have had All For One to give you a quirk, but we're in too deep now. And this kind of goes in with the story that that we got to see when we got the background, when the first users kind of showed Deku All For One switching the quirks between two people, and one of the guys was giving his quirk away so that he could protect his mom. But in this case, it was done to taking on the quirk to protect the parents. Or in this case, he's got the quirk and they stuck protecting his parents. But we're in too deep now. Now that he has this hold over us, there's no running from All For One. I've got to find someone, a teacher, anyone. I've endured oh boy. I had to play my part right to avoid suspicion, always putting on a brave face to smother my guilty conscience. When All For One was finally caught in Camino, for a moment, I mistakenly let myself believe that just maybe I was free to have true friends and put an end to my acting. Oh, Yuka, please forgive us. Forgive your loving parents for being such fools. Mama, Papa, I only wanted to protect you. I cannot let him kill you. Yuga, please, we're begging you. You have to save us, Yuga. Oh. All right, so I did not think that this would lead to Deku getting to have a conversation with Aoyama from the jump. Like, okay, you're a traitor. Like, Mr. Mech stuff. Ooh, see, Hagakure outing Aoyama to Deku to cause that rift. It seems like traitor stuff right there from All For One. Man, this is a lot. So yeah, let's see. Hagakure just told me what she heard, that the traitor in our midst is you, Aoyama. What nonsense. How ridiculous. This girl must have misheard. Midoriya. Oh, Midoriya, I was the only one who couldn't say a word to you in that moment. Only I was silent. Aoyama, stop. I can't take it. Not from you. You've been looking so gloomy lately, you. I thought something must be wrong. So I came looking out for you out here. Yes, only me. I always wanted to feel equal. Yep, at USJ. Yuga, no. And then in the forest, each time I led them to us, do you hear me, Midoriya? I am a despicable villain. Man, that's where we're leaving off. That's where we're leaving off. Man. I wonder if Inka was offered the same when she found out Deku was quirkless. Yuga's parents seem to be far richer, so I feel like that it's a bit of a different situation. Like, this one seems to practically beg the question, like, how much does All For One charge? But I mean, there's also the fact that All For One likes to keep people on the hook as far as emotional manipulation and making them feel like, oh, you made this choice, but in reality, it's full-blown coercion. Or yikes. Let's see. I got scumbag villain, the cheese. Yes, the thing with the cheese is him being like, I know. That's I'm just glad that it's like, okay, cool. Like a lot of us who were like, okay, he told on himself and he was feeling guilty, etc. Because also that makes the Aoyama chapters better because it means that the poop joke was the red herring. Let's see. Please don't go home. I don't like that to be continued. I need a date, bro. Still waters run deep. $50. The fact that Higakure is the bridge between Aoyama and Deku, such a huge moment. Let's see. Aoyama was trying to confess. AFL collected quirkless children over the years. But I'm sorry, from Inko would make more. Let's see. Ozza Black coming through with the super chat. People said Horikoshi fumbled after last week's chapter, are looking like clowns this week. Just be patient and trust Horikoshi. Yep, he gave him a quirk like to make him do to himself, then made him a slave. It was a menace.
Bro, he couldn't have gave him no better quirk, bro. Belly button laser. You kidding? Out of all the quirks he got, that's the one he gave this kid.
But I have to admit that of all the quirks that don't fit his body, it's kind of a fitting quirk.
Oh yeah, if you ignore the fact that his body can't handle it.
It fits his personality, that's what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Which now you got to ask yourself how much of I Cannot Stop Twinkling Aoyama is his real personality.
Yeah.
Because he's all, but those of us who were like, he eats alone, he does this. Because I feel like we had conversations about if it's a student, who it is. Because I know that I've always been like, if it's a student, it's Aoyama, but I think it's Nezu.
Yeah, I think that Aoyama was always a lead suspect. If we ignore the whole Kaminari theory, which went way too big, way bigger than it should have been, I think Aoyama has always been top suspect of who could have been.
Yeah, I always thought it was Aoyama until last week. Last week, my ankles got taken. I really believed it was Higakure. I was like, it made sense. It made sense to be her. And I think Horikoshi knew that it made sense to be her, which is why he did that. And then now to just switch it around and be like, no, she was just watching him.
Yeah, I think
she had the best quirk to watch him too.
Yeah. I think last week we kind of overreached in our attempts to defend Horikoshi in so far that we kind of tried very hard to discredit everybody else just to defend Horikoshi. But if 2 weeks ago we would have been asked who's a traitor, I think most of us would have said Aoyama.
Yes, that's the thing about it. Let's really think about it. Everybody was thinking that was Aoyama, even when he said that French saying about on se méfie de l'eau qui dort. You know what I mean? Everybody knew that, but still, like we said, it's all about how you present it. Horikoshi tell everybody like to clowns. Past week, for me, I was saying like most of us, I think. Let's see what he said, what he's cooking. And now we get something else.
Yeah.
Get back to the roots.
I like this. I like this way more than Harakure.
Bro, this hits so much more than Hagakure. Like, so much.
Yeah, and that's what I think what I meant with overreaching. I think last week we went a bit too far trying to argue that nobody else makes sense. Everything else we would have to rewrite the whole story. We went a bit too far last week. I think this week, this is, I think, the better solution.
So since I had always leaned on Aoyama because I like character, it was like the most popular Traitor characters that people wanted took way too much. Like when you look at characters like Kaminari, that like it does take a lot to make Kaminari make sense. Partially because
I don't even know why he was
right. Like it takes like it's like when we were talking about them, it's like you got to pick a character that has stuff. So we have a character now that has a connection with Deku and Aoyama. You know, we had that established friendship, which is cool, and then we have a viable reason that has always existed that allows Aoyama to have like a motive or probable cause, which is we've watched him struggle with this quirk. The dude, like at training camp, one of the things that I don't know if like a lot of people notice is that while he's like practicing his laser, dude had a porta potty for his training equipment.
Yes.
Like shoot your laser and shit yourself. Good luck. Like, and I'm glad that chat has addressed that. All for One seems to have just been like, man, this quirk is ass. Here, take it.
Like, that's the thing about it.
That's exactly what happened.
Like, dog was like scrolling through the Rolodex of quirks and got a phone call and was like, somebody needs a quirk. Oh shit, I got a free slave out of this one.
For sure, man. That's so fucked up.
Look at that panel of him. My bad, Ponzi. Look at the alcohol in the background. He was drunk.
He's like, oh, I'll give him this quirk. Have it.
The pain,
man. That means Aoyama has seen All for One's actual face.
True.
True. Yes, that happened that had to have happened 10 years ago, so he still had his full face.
Yes,
unless the shadow still blocked it and Aoyama still couldn't see it.
I love all the fact. I think the only reason why some of us were a bit iffy on Aoyama is because he's genuine friends with Midoriya, which makes this even better. I mean, it makes perfect sense that he would be friends with Midoriya because when he entered UA first, he didn't know that Midoriya was special in any form. It was just another kid. And so we had all these reasons to doubt Aoyama in terms that we knew the quirk didn't fit him, and we know that All for One is the kind of guy to give people quirks to make them his friends, quote unquote. But we also thought he's friends with Midoriya, but that gives us now just the emotional, just the hurt.
Now I got an important question.
That's the thing about it, guys.
Wait. Important question here. Do you think, because for all for One's blustering, you know, at Kamino he says, oh, now that we've clashed, I know you don't have one for all in you. But do you remember what Aoyama, like Aoyama pulled up and was like, I don't know if we'll be seeing each other anymore. Do you think it's possible Aoyama said something to Deku back then because he already had like known, or AFO already realized that Deku was the one for all?
No.
When was that? I don't remember that.
All for One didn't realize that Deku had one for all until Shigaraki came after USJ and told him there's a kid as fast as All Might, and All for One was like, oh. And there was a flashback panel to that moment in Kamino when he yelled Deku's name to All Might. He said Izuku Midoriya, and there was a flashback to that moment after USJ, which Aoyama caused. So Aoyama is the cause of All for One knowing so early, but he figured out from Shigaraki.
Yeah, but I think it's both Shigaraki and then watching him during Sports Festival that probably also played a role.
Not only this, because he already knew. He said this guy is gonna be your enemy tomorrow. Watch him grow. That's what he said at the sport festival, and that's why from the sport festival, he had always Shigaraki saying, "You're gonna die." He always said it. Yeah, first time when they meet at the mall, he said to them, "Guys, I won't. Next time I see you, I will kill you." He put it on the hit list. He put him on everything so they could die. So and the face. Wait, what can we still don't see? We can see the eyes of one. I would love to see his eyes because you always get his eyes obscured, and his obviously his haircut, his smile is always it is always his how man was drinking wine, bro. Damn.
All right, real quick super chat. Tanisha Greer coming through. Thank you, appreciate you. Been dedicated since you found us. Aoyama may be the traitor, but the heroes now have an unexpected link to get to /find AFO on their side. Aoyama can still be a hero here. This is also why I think there has to be multiple traitors, because like I said, it does not make sense. And I say this about the traitor theory, and I say this about minimum wage jobs. Nobody puts all their eggs in the teenager basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, I don't think Aoyama knows where AFO is, so I don't think Aoyama will be that useful. He has some way to communicate with AFO, probably over his parents, and I don't think either of them know where he is. So I don't really know how useful they can be, even if they turn. And there will probably be somebody with eyes on him.
Okay, real quick. I want to get everybody's vibes. I'm gonna go around the horn. How y'all feeling about these parents, starting with Sayas?
Overall, I understand the initial struggle that they had a child who clearly suffered under not having a quirk, which we know has a lot of disadvantages that come with it. So I understand that, and I understand that they would try to give them a quirk. I don't really know how much they knew about AFO before talking to him. Like if he's just, I don't know, being referred to them by this by this famous quirk doctor, and then they somehow slid into this situation, and suddenly they had this Damocles sword over their heads, just bearing down. I understand, but if they knew that he's a villain from the start, and knew that they were putting themselves in a situation, which it doesn't sound like it sounds like if they had known, they wouldn't have done this. They put a lot of pressure on him, and I think it's too much. But I kind of understand that they have put themselves in a situation where they just can't get out in an easy way. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't think they are heroic parents or great parents, but I understand the situation.
All right, Tarnish.
No, I agree with Sayas. I understand the situation, but there was one moment in the chapter where I was really just like, nah, y'all are out of pocket. And that was right before Deku came. Like, you have to save us, Yuga. Like, you're emotionally blackmailing him to help you cover up for your mistake, like making him suffer for so long and not letting him talk. Even when he tried to talk before, they were like, you must know we never wanted this, before he even got the chance to say anything. So like, I don't know how to feel about them, but they suck right now. Like, and they tried to finesse Deku when he came and asked about it.
I mean, I think that's the thing I'm least angry about, that they try to lie there. I mean, that's obvious. I would lie too if I were caught in that situation.
Yeah, no, guys, you have to understand the state of the society is like this because of this guy here. He's the picture.
Heath.
Man, I'm okay. I'm just literally, I'm just sad. Literally, when I see this chapter, just thinking of the fact that since the start of the story, since season 1, that nigga was the fissure that was in the wall. He was the bug in the nest of I don't know which kind of bugs, because he was a traitor all the time. Damn, man. And art-wise, Horikoshi went off, bro. Literally.
Don't worry, people in the chat. He's gonna be here. He told me that.
Yeah.
Also, all right. Last but not least, Walkins. What you thinking of these parents?
I think it's a little bit of what's been talked about already. Like, at the start, it came from a place of loving and we want the best for our kid and all that, but it slowly has turned into somewhat of a manipulation. I mean, we have phrases here like, "Oh, you don't have a choice. Don't worry, you have to do this for us," and all that. So they've kind of evolved into shitty parents. Even though, again, it started from a place of caring for their kid because they wanted to make sure that he had some sort of future. But I mean, Aoyama's situation, it's kind of on the opposite end of, it's almost parallel to Deku's in a way, because with Deku, he didn't really give up on his dream, and like he even kept going forward with it. Like even throughout high school, being quirkless, he was still planning on trying to get into UA and all that, and trying to be a hero. Whereas like with Aoyama and his parents, they just kind of gave up and took the route of, we're gonna make a deal with the devil and all that. So yeah, I mean, it started out with a place of love, and now it's just kind of dark.
So one of the things that I had like the biggest issue with is when they said your loving parents.
Yep.
Yes, a bit of gaslighting in there.
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, nah. Like before, I was like, because part of me was like, oh yeah, like they were just trying to look out for their kid. It's like growing up quirkless, and it's like, what's the point of having money if you can't make sure your kids' problems are fixed? So that part, I'm like, you know what? Cool. But what I'll also say is, when you got money like this, you can disappear.
Yeah.
You can afford.
I don't know.
You can disappear.
They're French.
I mean, they're not running away from just a random thief, or they're running away from a really powerful person at this point.
That's true, but they possibly could have got away while he was in prison.
Well, also if they're so rich and loaded, they could have gone like the Iron Man or Batman route with Aoyama, try to help him out that way with like a bunch of different tech and all that. They could have done that.
Give him that
yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I agree with Jolteon Master there. Comparing them to Engie and Ray is a very much a bar in hell moment. Like,
I wouldn't really. The thing for me is why I have really trouble giving them too harsh of a criticism is because genuinely I think they want the best for their child. Genuinely, I think now they are in the wrong, but also, like, I wouldn't know what I'd do if I have like a mass murdering maniac after me who thinks I owe him something. I probably would resort to a bit of gaslighting to some. It's a bad situation for Aoyama. It's a bad situation for the parents too. But I understand that they're genuinely terrified, and I don't think they are in any way malicious towards him.
Like I don't think they're like, we gotta gaslight our son, but it's just like ultimately it is what like intentions don't absolve you from the overall actual weight of what you're doing. You know what I mean? No,
of course, but I do think that it is a very different thing if you just gaslight your son, or if you figuratively have a gun at your head telling you now have to gaslight your son, or I'm going to shoot you. I think that's a different situation, and I can't really blame them for trying to survive. Yeah, they put a lot of pressure on Aoyama, but it's a screwed up situation either way. I mean, if they don't do that, and if they are going to kill Aoyama, probably suffer even more than now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those.
The horrible MHA parent tier list. Look, I got Aoyama parents, a solid B tier, a B tier.
Yeah. Are they B tier, like as in B tier good, or B tier bad?
B tier bad. Like the worst is S. Like which is
Kotaro
Shimura.
So we got
the S. You get Engie to the Rocky too, yeah.
How you feel about that, Sayas?
I think he's getting.
Oh,
what?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Damn, I think he's working himself down that list currently.
He's an A now. Endeavor's like an A now. Yeah, A right now. He was a B during Endeavor was a B during Endeavor Agency, but once Dobby came back, he went back to A, like by default.
What? Why?
By default.
No, he's not getting worse.
By default, just because now everybody knows, and it's like, damn.
But that doesn't make him
really
worse.
No,
You don't get worse just
yes.
because people know that you're being bad.
No, yes, he was already he went to he went to A, but now he's back to
Honestly,
S,
I
man.
don't think it was S. I think there was still always room up for him.
Oh.
He was abusive.
And don't
Sure.
try to protect your spouse. Don't try to protect your spouse, right? Not try to protect your man. Your man's.
Yo,
I'm sorry, but if I look across fiction to all the shitty parents that there are in fiction, I think I can come up with something worse than NG.
say it. I'll give you this. I would rather be Shoto than Aoyama right now.
Right? I would also rather be Shoto than Tomura at any time.
I need to think about that.
I would also rather be Shoto at any time during Shoto's youth than Harry Potter.
No, because Shoto was privileged. He was the privileged son. You know what I mean? At the end, even if he had the work trainings and stuff, NG would have given him everything that he needs to have in his life. You know what I mean?
I think
That's
I'd
the
rather
thing
be
about
Toya. I think I'd rather be Toya than Aoyama, because what Toya did was kind of half on him, if you ask me.
Wow,
Hold
bro,
up, let me hit up
literally.
this super chat real quick.
What? Why would you be down with Toya?
Hold on. Tyler Hawk came through. Aoyama's going to blow up like Nagant and the Nomu. If Deku and Co try to keep this a secret, it's getting leaked to the civilians. AFO's a sweet talker.
I was waiting for East to come to talk about this. I think he might blow up too, honestly. I think he might too.
Time to go boom.
If his quirk is booby trap like Nagant, then and his parents yelled out "Yuga no" when he started talking too. Like there might be some fail safe.
Oh god, I didn't think about that.
So from that perspective, do you then I almost feel like the reason why we didn't lose a student in the war is because we were losing one now, if that's the argument we're making.
You think it's Aoyama?
Like if because it is kind of hard to justify his quirk not being booby trapped when we've seen how awful one is. But so from that perspective, I think that if we were going to lose a student via the Traitor reveal, then it makes sense that he wanted it to have its own space. Because during the war, people were excited about all kind of stuff for like 30 weeks straight. So it kind of would have gotten like mixed in with the lost in the sauce. If it's like, oh my God, we got the Traitor. Like, imagine the Traitor reveal within even like 3 chapters of Dobby's dance. Like,
imagine how Compress fans feel.
Like, just buried. That moment's just buried. So it's probably for the better. But I will say that all those people who kept insisting that Hori actually forgot the Traitor, you suck, and now you get to live with it. Carry that shame.
I really have to say that in terms of choosing a kid for the Traitor, Aoyama is such a good choice. Makes so much sense. Everything gets into place. It's perfect.
I love it.
Yeah, because he has always self-esteem issues that he felt.
He was always sus.
Yeah, he was always sus, but he wasn't sus enough that we were like super sure that he was Traitor.
That's the thing. He had also self-esteem issues, because when we talk about it in Deku, that he was always less than other people, you don't understand why. He has the same side of the same thing as Deku about their having no quirk in a quirk society. And he has another issues, like he has a quirk that's not his. You know what I mean? That he can make his, because the quirk is still trying to, that quirk is not working well in his body. You know what I mean? They don't match. They really don't match his body in this quirk. It's not because it's not his quirk. So he has other issues about thinking that he's not worthy like everybody, not worthy. He's not like worthy of his place in the class, that he's a traitor. Everything, that just thinking about how he said, how he was acting, it was really, really to show it was a call of distress every time. So damn, man. Right now we can see Deku's face. about to realize that friends can be enemies. And yeah, damn man. And his only friend was you guys' only friend was Deku. All time. It was Deku.
Facts.
That was Deku. Nobody was nobody
They danced together. They danced together at Culture Festival. That funny scene of them dancing together.
Why you're remembering this? Damn, bro, that's true. Oh man, they were dancing together.
I
They
really
were-
wondered how well this was made.
He was streaming his friend's
shit.
culture.
Man, don't get me hit with the copyright strike.
That's a cool ringtone.
Oh, it wasn't a ringtone.
It was someone.
Was a signature.
Here we
The
go.
Archbishop is here.
And I count down from 5 to turn down your volume. I count down from 4 to turn
Wait,
down
East,
your
we got a
volume.
super chat.
Okay. Ooh, you just got a bell.
Aniki,
Saved
where
by
are
the
your
super
noodles?
chat.
Go eat soon. The same for everyone in the stream in the chat. Also like the stream, everyone. P.S. Deku best character too.
Facts.
And we resume the count 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can't touch me. I'm in this bitch. I told you niggas what it is. You got a red nose that go bam, and I'm in my clean roll saying I'm holding W's. Yeah, you holding L's. Yeah, you niggas fail. Yeah, you got a D. Take it home to mommy, nigga. Take it home to mommy, nigga. You ain't getting no PS5. Ain't getting no Xbox One X Series X. Niggas who trying to test. Let me tell you something. Cause he is the best. Ooh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And yes, sir. Now, before all the excuses and the drama comes in, the sob stories. Well, because it's weekly, we have our opinion is valid for that we can change it, and if it's not switching stances or switching up, if we say it's trash this weekend, we change our minds next week. But guess what? I got the perfect counter to that shit from now on. There is a man, one young white man. He's been doing YouTube for years now, and he has went on. And let me tell you something. This young man is none other than Chibi Reviews. Shout out to you, Chibi. You see, Chibi also last week went ahead and said, yo, Horikoshi, this shit ass, man. I'm not feeling it, bro. It could have been anybody else. You really chose her out of everybody. But guess what? He rambled on and rated for 7 minutes in his video. But guess what? He came back and did this week, ladies and gentlemen. He did what you should do if you have honor. You know, he came back and said, damn, Horikoshi, you got us. You played me. I was wrong. I take back my words. But let's see the difference between Chibi, a real human being with honor and dignity and integrity, and you clowns on Twitter. Oh, well, you know what? It's not our fault. Week to week opinion. Is we allowed to be this, that, that don't fly with me no more. We been doing this shit for too long. Y'all not children. Matter of fact, I think y'all are children, but we already had a discussion about you being immature. All you had to do was wait. I got screenshots of plenty of people outside the fandom that text me. I'm not really feeling it, bro, but I'll just wait a second and I'll see how it plays out. Now, guess who ran the red nose and guess who's not? The people that let it play out, they're not ran the red nose. You clowns that's upset and trying to make some narrative. I always ass anyway. I'm not feeling it. It's the Traitor ass anyway. It's just a lazy red herring. It's a lazy plot twist. How's it lazy? Run it back, nigga. It ain't lazy in no type of way, boy. Y'all niggas just don't want it. Y'all just trying to save face any type of way you can because you took that L. You got your ankle snatched. It's like when the little kids, you know, they think they all that and they talking all this big wig shit and then they get punched in the chest and like, I'm telling my mommy, I was talking big boy shit, but I couldn't hang with the big boys. Man, listen. Honestly, I could come in here and I could yell, but I'm not. You see, let me show y'all something. This is how I went above you all. I'm not even going to fucking rant and rave for 11 minutes like I did last time. Guess what? I take the W home. And I'm going to mature. And I'm gonna save myself trouble because you know what? I'm not a negative person. So all you little raunchy bitches on Twitter that's always doing subtweeting me. Oh yeah, I peeped that shit. Some of you niggas said that being extreme, that talking about me on the side, nigga, to subtweet. I'll be peeping y'all. Oh, East unbearable. I'm so unbearable. Why you watching the fucking stream I'm in every fucking Sunday? Cause I damn sure. I mean, come on, everybody in here praising, and even in that, some people have disagreements and arguments. So by clarification. When isn't an echo something that like a voice that's been saying or something that's been said that just repeats, right? Isn't a chamber like a cellar? So if an echo chamber is something that's just you just yell on something that's repeating all around, right? That means it's no conflicting views or opinions. That means everybody's not saying the same thing, which i.e. means therefore the church of MHA is an echo chamber. Yeah, strike one, you out. Strike two, let's go back to it again. A circle jerk, that means everybody else is just pleasuring each other. And then there's no disagreements there. You're getting me off here and there. You're getting me off here and there. Nigga, people argue in this bitch all the fucking time and had disagreements. So basically what you guys do is you lurk in the church, you go on Twitter, and you post this little bullshit ass fucking narrative, and you try to make us look bad. But guess what? We're bigger than y'all, and we always will be better than y'all. Because y'all little punks and we ain't got time for that shit. So guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna take the higher road, okay? We don't need to acknowledge you. We don't need to address you because guess what? We just gonna keep on winning. You're gonna keep on crying your little circle, making boohoo faces and blaming Harakoshi for the problems that you created in your head. You got played. Just admit it. You don't want to admit it? That's fine. Guess what? We know the truth. If you don't want to face reality, that's just how it is. So back to this shit though.
Oh, also,
all you had to do was wait 1 week.
Hold on, East. Here we go. Also, what I'm gonna say about that is this: there's some of you out there that will be on private Twitter doing the same thing you mad at people for talking about in a Discord, which is wild because you will be on private Twitter literally hiding from a bunch of people talking shit about people, when all people are saying is, "Damn, I don't like that particular take." Like in a Discord with hundreds of people, you mad that 2 niggas said they don't like your tweet? For real? You don't see how wild that is? You don't? Okay, cool. Anyway, East, go on. You got the floor, East. Just wanted to make sure we address that.
Da 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 da.
What the fuck?
Hey, BG
here.
BG. But yes, I'm here. I was going to say I need to stop with those damn bangers he'd be making on Twitter.
Yo, bro.
Yeah.
I'm mind blown. Bro, this chapter, like, I've read this chapter probably like, I'm not even gonna lie, I read this chapter like 8 times. I read the scans 6 times and the officials twice. Like, I love this chapter. Everything makes sense. Everything makes sense.
Yeah, I love it too. Though I gotta say, people who last week were unhappy, I wouldn't say that they got an L now, because the thing is, if they were unhappy because they fell for Horikoshi misleading us and it was an obvious mislead, and I think most of us fell for it too. As obvious, if you look at last chapter's debate, most of us fell for it too. And if you fell for it last week and you didn't like that Hagakure was the traitor, that's not an L, because turns out there is a better traitor, and that's Aoyama. So if you thought that this was just a weird choice, you were right.
The L isn't having believed.
I'm talking about these specific people who just fell for it and just were unhappy with Hagakure being the traitor.
Well,
they were not wrong for being unhappy, because she wasn't.
Well, no, it's not about that. The issue that I personally had, it's not about people being unhappy, because it's like, okay, fine. It's more about the fact that at the end of the day, we didn't even have so much as a confirmation. Yeah, it was an implication that we all fell for as well, but it was still an implication at the end of the day. So I think it's very fine to call it an L, because not because people are like mad. It's because people were not only shitting over the story, they were shitting on Hori himself, saying these niggas lost it, he's ass, all that type of shit off of an implication. I think that's stupid.
That's the issue I got. Sayas is trying to make it like, well, to be fair, this and like, no, because it's the way, like he said last week, it's the way you react to the situation.
Hold on, you gotta remember something important. Sayas interacts more with the section of the fandom that like writes more like adult stories, not like
not
like adult, like
overall.
X-rated adult, but like more like adult-minded narratives, that kind of stuff. So like Sayas doesn't interact with like the Mongol Twitter types that are like out here. Well, so like from Sayas' perspective, she's just thinking like, oh yeah, somebody who read that and was just like, oh, I don't like Hagakure. Not somebody who was like, so in this essay, I will prove while Horikoshi has established himself as a canonical bitch nigga motherfucker.
I think I was more referring to East. I think in the very beginning brought Chibi as an example, who said that he didn't like that reveal, and also then said that MHA at the moment isn't doing it for him. I think that's fine.
No. That was a light. No, that was a. This is the thing. I know where Stay that. This is why when you be wondering why I be yelling, because you don't be on that side of Twitter. You don't see what we see. You don't go through what we go through.
No, of course I see it.
That's my thing though. No, that's my thing. We be deep in there and doing this thing, the same thing. You just the way you put it, what Chibi said was very lightly what he said. And other people had said compared to like way they really bashed this nigga, like really went at his head when all they had to do was just wait. Like, okay, it might be red herring. This isn't full confirmation, or let's just see if he can actually work something. And it's like, you never wait. You got hurt by a baby. Like, I'm not really trying to hear like, if you weren't comfortable, I'm like, okay, let me see how this plays out. Cause I'm not trying to hear it no more. Cause Chibi literally came back this week and said, she just played us.
His video was titled My Hero Academia chapter 335 might be the worst chapter of the year.
Exactly. How many chapters we got this year? He said the worst chapter of the year. That's a bold title. And then he comes down off it the next chapter.
But also,
he called himself like Horikoshi has proved to me that I am a clown. That's what the next video was called.
Yeah. Now, real quick, let me hit up these super chats. Because Nafisa came through with the super chat. Said, look, I don't care that Aoyama, the traitor, all is forgiven in my book because back in Kamino, he's the reason Tokoyami didn't get snatched up, and he's goaded for that. And then Andrew came through and said, did you know that the real clowns are the ones that like Toru being the traitor, not the ones that threw temper tantrums? Well, this is a weekly manga, so I am judging under its intended purpose.
That's the thing that also pisses me off. You can't do that. At this point, you know, if you literally, bro, everybody knows the long game, bro. Come on now. You literally know how this goes. Like, literally, you know how this fucking goes, nigga. Like, I'm not trying to hear it no more. You're not children. You know, you actually are children. So if you're going to keep putting your hand on the household, that's on you. I'm not trying to hear none of the excuses, none of them valid anymore at this point. If Chibi can literally man up and have his honor and grab his nuts and say, yo, Horikoshi played us. And it's our fault for falling for it. And we overreacted last week. Well, you can do the same thing. He literally just stated that. I'm not trying to hear all that. Oh, it's not our fault. We overreacted and say Horikoshi fumbled, rushing through plot lines, blazing this, doing that, did that. Like, nah, bro.
I will say
I bugged out. It is what it is. I honor that.
No, I was gonna say I would say that this though. I did see a take, or people were but a question people were asking was just like because they were questioning, and what the fuck was the point of having Hagakure at the end of the last chapter? So then they were questioning, do you think it was his editor who told him to make it a cliffhanger? I don't think it was, because at the end of the day, it was still somewhat believable because there were some crumbs that you could use to make sense of that anyway.
That's what I said earlier.
I think we even for like half a minute talked about the possibility that you might just be talking there, watching something.
The what?
I think we even last chapter review. I think we even talked for like half a minute about the possibility that this might be a red herring and she's just watching somebody who is the actual.
Okay, wait. So there's something that I also wanted to like highlight, because I don't know if you remember me highlighting this, but I know even in my review I said it. I was like, I could take the time to argue against Hagakure being the traitor, but I want to wait and see, because this is more than likely going to be an arc that centers on this. So instead, let's talk about this from the angle that Hagakure is the traitor for now, because we've already seen a bunch of stuff to explain why it isn't, considering there's been all kinds of traitor theories. So it's not even that like we were fully gung-ho like Hagakure is the traitor. We were just like, we will discuss this at face value and whether like what can make it good and what can make it bad. And since we've already heard all the complaints about what makes it bad, we gave light to the other side. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Once I found out, well, I literally made a tweet. I said, yo, give him 5 to 8 to 10 chapters and she'll be an excellent character. I was like, yo, just give him time. Literally.
Specifically, you said an
Hey,
8 out
but
of 10
listen, let me
character.
Tarnish, let me address that with your tweet too, so I come to your defense as your Phoenix, right? As your ace attorney. My client Tarnish is not guilty and shall be absolved of this notion and not held accountable for the exact reason he was under the conjunction and the context of that Hakaguri was the traitor. And now that that notion is no longer valuable because we know the truth, he is free from those. He is free. Are you good, man?
I'm still ready for this little slip up where he's like, nah, Hakakure is a traitor too. Cause like, you know, she brought Deku, you know, and even after bringing Deku, she was like, no, I don't mind either. But she said a teacher anyway. She could have sent Deku towards Aoyama and then went to go find somebody else, like a teacher.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be fair about that one. Even if they would have done that, if he was really gonna do something, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have gotten away. But Deku gonna beat his ass. I mean, he could. But is he gonna do that? I don't think
he's not putting hands on him. He's not putting.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's just gonna dip.
But I have to admit, if Harakuri was a traitor, that would be the ultimate play to realize, watching that Aoyama isn't gonna do this any longer because he's already crying on his knees. He's gonna fall sooner or later. So just establish myself as trustworthy by burning the other traitor.
Yes, that's the thing about. There's a problem. It's a classical move.
No,
it's a classical move of games. Like,
the problem with that comes strictly from the fact of the thoughts that Hakakure had.
Yeah.
Because we hear her inner monologue, and it's literally the same reason that it kind of debunked Nezu. Because he talked about he's speaking in a way that does not befit a traitor. In fact, hers was more of a damn, he's a fucking traitor. That's crazy.
Yeah, and which that's why I've always gone with the Nezu sleeper agent, because I'm like, he wouldn't be a conscious traitor and have dialogue like that. But because he's been experimented on canonically, that's what created that room. Whereas with like Kagakure, at this point, like it's a similar situation where, except there's no justification for even a sleeper agent theory. It's just like, all right, well, she could be doing that, but at this point, it looks like we completely shut that down.
Because if she is a traitor, if we say that she is a traitor, but she has another purpose than Aoyama, because from the moment we know Aoyama is the one revealing the spaces, the places that they are, that they are. If she has not a purpose, it's normal that she will have thought herself that, damn, from the beginning, that was this guy that was revealing all the places that we have been. That's what I'm saying. I don't. But still,
actually,
could you rephrase that? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you're trying to say.
No, because you can have spies to place, but each one has their own mission. You know what I mean? If each one has their own mission, if they don't know that they are both spies, it's normal. It's normal that when she discovered that Aoyama was a spy, that she thought, deal, all the time that I thought that was maybe revealing. I was the one revealing places because maybe I thought I had done something to me. That was this guy from the start, from the jump. That was this guy that was revealing all the places.
So if I'm understanding correctly, what you're saying is you're saying it could still work because she could have been a spy too, and say, I thought I was the only one revealing, but he was revealing too. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I see what he means. I think
but that doesn't. But that also sounds stupid.
Stupid.
Why does every trader
I want a phrase
know?
like that? You're just kind of offensive because I'm Pons who said it.
No. That's not offensive because if you say it's stupid, he must have a reason. Because what I said seems logical. Because a boss has not to say everything to his underling.
Actually, agree.
That's the thing about. Can y'all hear me?
That's the thing that is.
Yeah.
That's
You're a little quiet.
Hold on. I got a phone call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got no phone call.
Agakure still lied about USJ.
No, I was saying. No, I was going to say.
Thank you for bringing that up. She did lie about where she was at USJ too. She was nowhere to be found.
No, she did. Oh, she did, but I was going to get to a point about why it's stupid. Why that's still stupid. Because either way, it'd still be dumb. Because if she figured out, there's two of us, that's great. I'm gonna expose him now.
No, but the thing is, I actually agree with Panzo with the idea that I don't think Hayakura is a traitor at this point. But I do think as a thought experiment, her inner monologue here doesn't discredit her. Because at first she's just weirded out by him behaving differently. This might be somebody just realizing that their classmate behaves differently. And if she didn't know that he's a traitor before, and now he realizes he is a traitor, she does find it out. But she sees him crying and Ori on his knees and really about to break. That would be like if she is a traitor and she realizes there's a different traitor and that traitor is probably going to break soon, exposing him would still be a viable option.
I mean, but then does it really? Does it really? Because he could just if he break, if here's the thing, if the fear is of him breaking, exposing him, he's still gonna break. So I don't really see what the difference is. There would be no difference.
But by that point, she would make herself more believable because she is the one who brought the traitor in.
Yes, that's the thing about it. It is putting a fire. It's like to put a fire so you're not look at it. You know what I mean? Just like you put a fire, you see, and you said, somebody did it, and somebody else did it. Everybody knows that somebody will see that somebody else did it. Right. But she just putting the focus on Aoyama right now. If she is a traitor, it was a thought experiment. Like you said, say yes, thank you. It was a thought experiment because for the moment right now, if she really is a traitor, she has everything on her. Like she has the I will say the quirks, is anything to show that she can be also a traitor. But I don't want, if it is that you just get literally will be clowns for 2 times.
Yeah, I'm gonna address the first super chat.
Hold on real quick. Let me hit up these super chats.
I wanted to hit the first one.
Which one?
I want to hit the Krusty Clown one.
Oh, okay.
People can be happy because of a manga chapter 1 week. And I can be negative, Willie, with the manga chapter. Don't make broad statements on what I am. Yeah, you see, I forgot who said that shit on Twitter. But no, nigga. Like I said, don't try that bullshit. It's about how you approach the fucking argument. And I got a perfect example too. I'm about to prove something. After you read the Julian Burns super chat. Yeah. We coming right back to that.
Yep, Julian Burns. I'm pretty sure Deku was already headed towards him, but then Toru saw him. Also, Yuga Dice is going to hit so hard.
I've been, in fact, I don't want to hear nothing now because I don't want to hear nobody talk about Aoyama could die and he get this, that, and the other. I have been telling niggas a long time ago there are certain characters you can kill off in 1-8 and it will actually hit. And the prime one was Aoyama because he been a B tier character and now an A tier character, but he had just enough so that if you gave him a really good moment in his final 2-3 things and then kills him, it would still hit and you wouldn't need a bunch of other setup because he's just enough of a good character on the B tier that you should at least vibe with him, like him or more. You can't really have no feeling towards him or be that much indifferent. That many people at least that actually like the series.
Everybody,
he was literally, like I said, he was literally one of the perfect candidates to kill.
Everybody knows who he is. Like in my, he's one of the most recognizable characters in My Hero by far.
Exactly. Like, that's actually something I wanted to talk about because I remember when I watched the first season. And it was really, really hard to get into all these characters. Like you get the whole class 1A at once, and it's 18 new characters. I have no idea who any of these are. And to me, it was always Minato and Aoyama were the 2 guys I, as soon as they were first introduced, remembered. They were the first I learned the names of, and I never ever forgot the names after. So Aoyama has been there for the very beginning from a long time. And even at the end of season 1, he was, I think even before characters like Kirishima or Jiro or Momo were established, he was a character I knew who he was about and who he is and who his name is, what his name is and quirk and so on and so forth. I always thought he was funny and he was always kind of there. Like even in Sports Festival, he somehow made it to the final round. Yeah, he cheated but he was always in these arcs. And
he was in the first exam. He saw Deku. The first exam. He's the first person who met him.
Hey, honestly,
yes,
y'all should listen. This will be a better time for reminiscing, and that's when he died. So moving on. No, I'm
about to be reminiscing all this whole time because like one thing I want to talk about. Like, he caused USJ in the camp, and like really thinking about it, everything that happened during those he caused Deku versus Muscular, All Might versus Nomu. Like, he's the reason for a lot of your favorite moments.
Oh God!
So
shout out, praise be to Ayaba.
Shout out to the man. Shout out. He's the GOAT.
He can't stop twinkling.
He can't stop.
He can now. He's not twinkling anymore.
Yeah, right. I remember back when.
He kind of does because he's crying. You know, he's still vibing. He's twinkling. You know what I mean?
His eyes are black. There's no light in those eyes anymore. No more twinkle.
Don't worry. That's what Deku. That's what Deku here for. He gonna bring it back like he did in the Gaunt, and then it's gonna be like,
no,
the human heart and the human soul was so fickle. You think I would treat somebody such as you?
Bro, I'm telling you, I think
let the man die.
Let the man die. She was foreshadowing.
Tarnish, you ready? The tag team duel, bro. How we finna go? You ready?
No, Midnight's left too. Oh no!
Yes, that too, bro. Yo, Mina gonna be tight. Mina gonna be so mad at Aoyama. Bakugo gonna be mad at Aoyama. They all gonna be mad at him.
Yeah, okay.
This is the craziest part.
They all gonna be mad at him.
This is the craziest part.
Hold on. So we've been talking about this, like this Traitor concept for like an hour. And we haven't actually talked about how the class is going to interact with this information.
Bakugo is going to be
I like to think
heated.
that they won't interact at all for like at least 4 more chapters.
This is my thing right here. This is my thing right here. We don't know how this even goes going forward. This is one of the craziest things about it right here. Me and Tarnish ready, right? Because this tag team doing time. So me and Tarnish have been talking, like we be talking all the time, like the voice notes. And I had a realization the other day, and that 306 color spread was really telling a little too much about how these fucking All For One and All Might be plaguing these boys on their polar opposite sides. All For One has really drilled it in all this shit that All For One has done to really set him up to be the nigga he is. Now it was like he was kind of when you hear rumors about somebody, you know, you get an idea, but you don't really until you see it in action and feel it for yourself. That's a different story. Deku really realizing how manipulative, evil this nigga All For One truly is.
Nobody knows how evil he is.
Exactly. Like he's truly
Deku thinks All For One is so evil that he's willing to save Shigaraki from him. Like, no, that is the real evil, not you. You know what I'm saying? Like
dead ass. And it's like you realize like that whole since 306, the Black Deku arc,
oh my god, you're next.
I'm trying to tell you.
He knows, bro, that Aoyama is in 1A. He knows that if Deku goes back, all right, you're just gonna interact with the Traitor again, and I'm gonna hurt him eventually, and then your heart is gonna be broken.
So
every battle.
Like he said, I got so many plans. You know, it's like I got different routes. If something goes wrong this way, one tunnel collapse, I could just jump to the next. One doorway collapse, I just jump to the next.
You got friends to spare.
Okay, by the way, that whole I weave my plots years in advance, blah 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 thing, that's a part of why I'm like, nah, Nezu ain't off the hook.
Yeah, he definitely
He not, bro. He was experimented on by humans. Who experiments on humans?
And the way Horikoshi move, the way Horikoshi move with these fucking backstories, bro.
That my nigga the rumor.
Let me get this super chat. Mello coming through. Now that a friend of Deku has been revealed to be a villain, the topic of saving villains is more pertinent than ever. How do you think characters like Shoto and Ida will feel about it? That's why I said like the fact that we haven't discussed the class reaction a lot is important, because somebody like Ida, I could actually see being very against Aoyama moving forward.
But that's the thing.
I said that earlier. I said that in the server earlier. People were like, "Nah, I don't see Ida like that because he's close with Deku." I'm like, but he's still his own person with his own ideals.
Bro, just because you close to somebody,
he jawed Deku once because he got his own ideals.
Exactly. He literally just smacked a nigga in the head. This time he was like, he smacked in the back of his head. You said,
wait.
Guys, like to stream.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, like, can I take like my lowercase W on Deku real quick? I told y'all Deku wasn't done being Deku Black. He still want to go out and fight villains. He still wants to go do what he did before. But now he's like, all right, you know what? It's with the class now.
Got out the tarnish. That's his W right there.
I said
And
it before.
Deku Black Squad, they gonna go out. They gonna go out in squads fighting villains. I'm telling y'all, it's coming. Deku Black Squad version.
As long as those black circles are under his eyes, he's still not back.
Exactly. And you see at the end of the chapter, he's still hurting. He's still feeling trauma.
He's not coming back to Paul. He's not bouncing. He's not bouncing back.
Y'all thought everything was good after a bath? Y'all really thought Hori was gonna drop all of that after a bath?
Tell him.
A bath was gonna be the end of Deku's trauma. Everything he went through out there.
Matter of fact, that's a complaint or a critique or whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever it is. And I like Aniki to dissect this too. BG, I would like to hear, how does Deku Black ended the way it ended make you take Deku out of your MC shit? Like just drop him down, told like, oh, he could have been so great, but he just dropped. I was like, and I'm really
you know what's crazy? All right, hold up. What if 327 was what everybody wanted it to be? It's everybody thinking about the war, reflecting, blah blah blah, and then we get the traitor reveal. It's like, you know what I'm saying? That would have took all that away. It would have took away from all that dialogue because, like, damn, it was a traitor and all this. Now is the time to have that conversation about everything because it's one of their own. Even Aoyama, he was like, I was the only one who didn't say anything when we came to save you. I was the only one.
But also, my thing is that we talked about this when, like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, we were talking about calm before the storm. Deku is in a position here where mentally he was getting things back together, right? He was like, going back, we're going to start moving in this direction. Start, recovering, trying to like work with my people. We're even opening with him sparring. This continuation of like, maybe we can make things better. And then we get this traitor reveal, which, like I've seen people mention in the chat too, friends plural. So we might be like, this is a traitor reveal. This is important. This traitor reveal itself can be a distraction for way worse things coming. And to a certain degree, this is just a way to like get Deku's psyche further crumbled, because now one of these people that he's been close to, one of the people who like, he was like, oh yeah, we weren't, like one of these people who kind of marked his progress through UA, being able to gather this new friend, especially when Aoyama kind of was like, you're not even gonna cut the mustard, bro. And was talking stuff, like to get this progression and then have it be this way, like his, like we mentioned, his dance buddy. So now we have another reason for Deku to feel like I can't stay around 1A.
But you know what? If that's one thing too. Like people, I don't know how you don't analyze by now. This nigga Horikoshi uses one character or one thing to expand like a fucking multi-purpose tool and expand. Like here, there, I can use this character to do this, that, and the third. Lily Skeptic is my prime example as all time. Nigga Skeptic, they brought him for multiple reasons. You couldn't, like we just explained before many times, went on a rant before. You couldn't bring Gitan because he wasn't gonna come.
Listen, if Dabi brought the 10 instead of Skeptic, the 10 would be locked up. If he brought Redestro probably would have been locked up. Like Skeptic, they took him for a reason because he can communicate with everybody in the army.
Exactly, and that's Horikoshi right now. Why they took him in story was for Dabi's.
He went out of his way to bring Skeptic. Like Dabi literally just picked him up and like he literally went out of his way for him specific and Compress.
Wait, do you remember the cut panels?
Yeah, exactly. He went out of he ran from Makia to go get.
He straight up, like he flew to get him. So
I think it's funny how he told that nigga to wait. He told Makia to wait. That's just still funny to be like, hey, yo, Makia, wait real quick. I'm gonna go do something.
Grab the boy Skeptic. Even Skeptic was like, what am I doing here? He's like, bro, you the key. You the key right now.
No.
And then Compress saved him too, because when Gina's locked up Makia, Skeptic was under the wires too. And Compress had to pick his ass up and left him in the marble.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, well, you see, if a character don't die.
So you see Horikoshi blatantly going out of his way to keep this character around. Like he could have had Skeptic get locked up right with Makia. Could have left him there.
And that's the thing that go with not killing those niggas in MVA. He wouldn't have had Redestro doing what he did, taking out the fucking commission and doing other shit. They want to have Skepta. You kill Skepta, you can have Skepta do everything he did. Hanabata still hasn't proven his full use yet, but he's still kind of there as like Redestro side hand and side man. So like when they get hand, he's gonna be a powerhouse. He's still a powerhouse. He just hasn't got his fully flex yet. He's been crippled by story reasons, plot narrative. When he get his time on that run back, it's gonna be beautiful.
I can't wait to have him in action. That's the thing about it. I can't wait.
A lot of people are getting hurt. A lot of people are getting hurt.
Hey, I want to hear something. I want to hear y'all response to this, especially Anakia. I'm confused on people being tired of cliffhangers.
Arch enemies, and now.
Yeah, I think we had a talk about that in the
We did, BG. We had to talk about that
with Ian.
I wish Ian was here now.
Yeah. The thing, it was more about. He said it was about like the fake outs. There and I didn't notice this until he pointed out there have been like a ridiculous amount of fake outs recently.
Since there has been. It started. I think for me, the cliffhanger started to get wild when Deku unlocked float. That's when it started to get wild. Not wild in a bad way. Like to me it was good, but that's when he started going overboard with the cliffhangers. Like, nah, I'm really gonna make y'all wait for next week.
Nah, I ain't gonna hold you. I don't think it was that. I think the cliffhanger started getting a little silly at the explosion.
Oh, silly, yeah, at the explosion in 315 and 316. It's like, damn, bro, that the double whammy.
Okay, so yeah, that explosion cliffhanger, it was because when the explosion happened, I could have sworn we straight up had a conversation like it's Endeavor and Deku. They're not getting hurt by it.
Yeah, that's how
my first reaction made the sense. I'm like, he saw that shit coming.
Oh yeah. No, my thing is, it wasn't about the fact of that they didn't get hurt. I don't give a fuck about that. No, it was because it was about the fact that there was a 2-week break, and it gave us ample time to think like, okay, I wonder how they're gonna get out of this. They're gonna get out, obviously, but it's gonna be cool to see how they get out. And then the chapter comes back. Oh, it's crazy that we avoided that explosion.
That was
that's the thing. I don't think there is an overabundance of cliffhangers, to be honest. But I do think it's kind of weird to go from cliffhanger to just it was nothing, whatever.
No. Listen, I'll speak on that one. That was wild. I'll give y'all that one because that was funny as fuck. I like people was when Homer KB was like, nigga, they just chilling now, and I was like, hey, you know what? You got that one because them niggas, that shit was funny. I was like,
we may have escaped by the skin of our teeth, but
I was like, so they just had the crib. I be like, I knew the I was gonna get hurt, but y'all just chilling at the warehouse.
No.
We don't even see destruction after. It's just over.
I thought that oh man, I must have missed it. Maybe I was a chapter last week. Let me go back and look. Wait, what?
Okay. Also, what I want to say though is that because as we're talking about these cliffhangers, the explosion one felt like a cliffhanger. The Bakugo getting stabbed one could be a cliffhanger. The issue is that also when you look at like the war arc specifically, it's kind of weird to look at that as like multiple cliffhangers when you think about it. Or was there just a bunch of shit happening?
The Bakugo cliffhanger is gnarly because that ends volume 29. Bakugo getting stabbed.
Yeah.
So imagine being a volume only reader and that's like your last piece of MHA for months. Bakugo get hit like that.
Also, real quick, gotta address Nader, who's come back. Nader Moad. I have returned for the Traitor reveal. Yo, guys, to be straight with y'all, this series has really let me down. I have way too much to say about my opinions on the series to fit in this box. I'm sorry you're disappointed, Nader.
Okay. Since Nader one of my goats, hold on, Nader's one of the goats. How about if you still gonna be here the whole time, try to write each opinion and we'll discuss it in like a proper manner because we have
earnestly,
and then to put just title like one topic or one opinion. Why you feel that way in one box, and we'll just go through. That give us more topics to talk about anyway.
Wait, another cliffhanger. Another cliffhanger that I feel was gnarly, bro, was 329 when Shiggy came back. That was wild. Whole double spread. Explosion? No, the double spread of Shiggy coming back. Like when he ended the chapter with him saying, "What exactly am I?" After he just told us, "All right, we got 1 month. All right, we got 3 days. He's back now."
Yes. Nah, that was full anime demon time right there. That was straight up. I mean, looking at it now, it makes all logical sense because it is MHA. But back then, at that point, that was straight anime villain shit right there. Like,
I will say that the time stuff is a little like silly when you think about it though, because it was a month, then it was a week, then it was 3 days, then it was now, then it was now it's another week. I'm like, okay, bro.
The only reason, the only. What you mean, milk? He ain't gotta put. Nah, chill out.
Wait, Eve, you got another cliffhanger that niggas keep getting caught by. The little we must defeat all for one and Shigaraki cliffhangers that caught niggas like 8 times in the past 30 chapters.
No, that's they fault. Their fault. I'm like,
you know how many times chapters have ended with yo, we must defeat them. Like he's like done that so many times.
Bro, I'm still laughing how like the chapter after them niggas like we gonna get our revenge, and like we don't worry, we got backup, and niggas like, all right, you think you got backup? But your backup just cost you your backup.
Guys, I would like
hey yo, Data, bro, I didn't mean put a super chat every time you got something to say.
You can just post a chat.
Post it regularly. For your
So Nader, you gotta do a super chat every time you write something. I think $5 minimum.
Bro, you wildin', bro. Damn Alpha spoiler. I mean, but yeah. So about these cliffhangers, crazy. Oh no, but address BG. My fault, Mpanzu. I want to address BG before I forget that shit.
Okay.
The only reason I like letting it logically slide was because, Star Strike did come in to basically nerf their forces back to 50-50. Really, with the villains got a better chance of winning, but with nerfing their forces because when as we seen full effect now, there's no wiggle room or ifs, ands, or buts. She came and did what she needed to do for the story because originally, he wakes up in like 3 days, and then they would just been all caught up with their ass out, this, that, and the other. Well, then they're like, well, Shigaraki woke up and he went, but then it was like, okay, we already had a date on foreign heroes pulling up, and then her going early kind of helped them. Looking at it face value, at first it was like, okay, it helps them, but then Shiggy pulling up also helps too because, like, for the story, because logically, if like they said, if Star and Deku linked up, then it would have been like, all right, shit, nigga, ain't gonna fly, this ain't gonna work no more. So it's like, all right, so that's like, I understand, it's like, all right, in this whole entirety, it's like, okay, at first, why did he just give 1 point in time, and then they come in and then they do, and it's like, okay, but like All Might they had to do the 3 days so All Might could get them to rush there faster, and there was still red tape everywhere. But then her breaking the rules, she came early, but then that bounce back costed them that, and her dying, basically she couldn't team up with anybody. So then basically, as you see, no other hero is gonna fuck with them because he just killed the top one.
Okay.
No, see,
okay.
No, that was never my issue. Was never that it didn't make sense. It's just looking at it, regardless of if it makes sense or not. It is just kind of.
This is why he just do like a 1 point, like, all right, y'all got a week.
Yeah.
And then just be like, all right, you got a week. All right, well, all right, we gonna call some backup, and then they would just be like, well, why we can't do a week? It's like 2 weeks, and then Star did the same thing she did before, but then Shiggy pull up, and it'd be the same thing without. All right, y'all got 3 days, y'all got 1 week, this, that, another.
Yeah, because it was like, it's like if you would have just given a time frame.
Yeah, now you see
Star come.
Okay,
because it's like it went from a month to actually be calculated around with 3 days. Oh wait, no, actually, I'm sorry, it's now. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, she showed up, so now it's a week. Like, okay.
Okay, now you see what we just did there, chat. BG gave an actual criticism and like thing he wasn't sure or what he felt iffy about, and we discussed it like adults. You see, that's actual critique of the story.
Nah,
actually,
this is like, okay, I understand that's a gripe or a complaint because like, and these cliffhangers, honestly, some of them be kind of wild. But I was like, but with this whole time thing, I was like, all right, we jumping here, we jumping there. All right, shit, nigga, what we gonna do at this point? Like, now we finna get another 2 weeks. I'm like, all right. What the fuck
I actually felt similarly confused about, not confused necessarily, but chaotic about the sense in which Shigaraki's time just fluctuated, and we weren't entirely sure. I mean, especially when he appeared, it seemed like he's done now, but he wasn't really done. He just left too early. He woke up too early and kind of interrupted the process. That made it even more chaotic because we also were, or at least I was, for a short time under the wrong assumption that he was now finished or done.
Yeah, I did
which he
think he
wasn't.
was done early.
And also, I think for me, the other part is that we are now in this phase between the last big confrontation and the next upcoming big confrontation, which means just about every chapter somebody says we have to fight All for One and Shiggy at some point, and it's kind of sad a lot of times. At this point, I am kind of at the point where whenever All Might starts talking, I kind of just scan through his panels because he's just saying that we're gonna fight All for One probably.
Well, All Might keep repeating himself. He's out in 1A.
Honestly, you're not wrong. Cause me and Torrance talking about this, and Horror Coach was giving me Torrance tight. I'm like, all right, bro. I already know these niggas. I already know these. I was like, all right, bro. I already know these niggas going finna get folded, bro. Can we just like?
You want to know why All Might's dialogue is clipping? Because he is officially an NPC.
He is.
So like his dialogue options at this point in the game, they're done. We can beat the bad guys. We can beat the bad guys. We can beat the bad guys.
Yeah. Anyway,
like,
that's why I'm saying he gonna die, so he getting sucked dry. His character, like he on the same shit.
But okay, but like, but in a more serious note though, like if you remember, because I always bring up what All Might I said. No matter what I do, I could get all these like little things to change, but then it would always eventually like clip back in. So like
I add scenes to the film.
This aimlessness to like All Might scenes is likely because this is like excess time in his life, basically.
And up next,
let's come to Cylinder. As far as the wait,
what is that?
Holy shit, a cylinder?
Now we've also got the semicircle.
That's BG. BG in school.
Ooh, a semicircle.
What is that?
So
I love semicircles.
Okay, the cope is really weird.
Yeah. And anyway, in the meantime, we had Nadir's first point against.
Yeah. So I was gonna address that. So Deku is interesting for me in this case because I think that his development has been that it's hard for a person to change when like how they see themselves, and in turn, when a person doesn't. How you see yourself determines what you see as your flaws. And due to the fact that Deku is in a society that glorifies being a hero, him seeing himself as less valuable unless he's doing hero work is an overly validated ideology. So in turn, Deku is not going to, in my opinion, be able to start making real progress until he is injured and away from a safety net. And what I mean by that is like not having access to Recovery Girl or Central Hospital, being actually taken out of the game and forced to sit out for a while.
No All Might.
Right, no All Might. All Might has to go. Deku needs to start seeing himself as his own individual entirely. We can't keep having this chasing All Might thing. And I understand wanting that, but what I always say is like the Deku Far From Home arc wasn't about expanding on who Deku is. It was about expanding on what Deku is going to be confronting in this last phase of the story.
Yes. It's all his flaws put into one arc. Like Deku Black is really it's literally a parallel to Spider-Man. It's literally he's the worst of Deku on display at all times.
Black Spider-Man Black is not really Peter Parker. He's not the funny Spider-Man making quips, holding back, restraining himself.
He's beating the shit out of people. He slammed Sandman into a train, bro. Just like Deku slammed that one guy when he had him hanging by Black Wick. He was wilding.
I mean, Deku wasn't like entirely off the rail in this arc. I still felt that he wasn't really talking to Muscular. He wasn't really giving him a chance, but he wasn't like crippling people. He did spare.
That's the only thing he didn't do was cripple. He was beating people. He was just running around, not talking to nobody. He wasn't smiling. He had a mask on. He was doing too much.
But he also made still friends. I mean, I don't think he was that dark. I mean, he still held a rain. It
wasn't completely negative. But the point being is that inevitably he spiraled down that path where he was really just saving people. He was bloodied up. There was a chapter titled "Scars, Blood, and Filth." He wasn't taking care of himself. Ultimately,
he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Like as far as like himself, like you have to balance out yourself too. And it's not that. With the point of being like Black Spider-Man is just when the Venom symbiote suit was on. It's not that he was killing people because he didn't kill nobody. he was just going too far in the actions he was taking, and he wasn't doing what he properly needed.
He was given into his negative desires.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the thing is, I never felt like Deku was going too far. Apart from the one scene where he left All Might alone, I didn't really feel like he was going too far.
He was definitely going too far. They all said he was going too far. He didn't rest. He didn't sleep. Going on and on.
He pushed himself too hard, but he always does that.
No, but that's the thing.
I don't think he went too far in terms of how he treated villains. That's not.
But no, that's not we're not talking about strictly villains. We talk about in general, bringing all his flaws to the point. It's not about him treating villains wrong. It's about him not doing what he's supposed to do himself.
The scene I brought up was really like one of the few examples of that, where he had dude hanging. Like that was not Deku when he did that. Like he was that was right after the All for One explosion, where he was toying with him, playing with his head. Like he was angry. He was mad. You could see it in his face.
He dipped out after that. But I want to touch on something that Nader said. Now, has you talked about like since the war or something? I could see, I understand, or even like that one thing they be talking about was since Gentle Criminal, he felt like an MC. But to say ever since Camino, that's a big one.
That's too far back.
I mean, for him, like, you know, you my guy. That's really far back. Like it wasn't recent stuff and his final act, new era stuff. I can understand. Even somewhere in the war, it just didn't feel like he was doing much. But like
he became the MC again fully, and like when Shigaraki woke up, that's when Deku became like the full, you know, MC again, because that's when Shigaraki started chasing him.
Yeah, like this is kind of wild to go as far back as Camino. I wish you further elaborate, because I'm trying to get what you need here. And like, what do you mean as far as development? Because there has been development. Has you mean there's been development that has emotionally struck you?
Wait. Time out. Nader, I think that's the difference here, is that Deku not fully changing is what makes the art good for me, because you're not supposed to just change. But I do understand why that's a little frustrating though, because it's like, nigga, get your shit together, grow up some, start actually internalizing these perspectives, but he's not actually doing that. He learns how to say the right thing, but he doesn't know how to actually carry it through all the way. It's like how people are like, oh, X, Y, and Z is a red flag on social media. They're like, oh, communication is important in relationships. And then they'll be like, yeah, communication is really important. So it's like, what's your favorite food? Communication is really important. It's like, oh, now that you're
what's wrong?
Script, lost.
Oh, communication is important. What's wrong? Nothing. Good night.
But actually, I think I somewhat agree in the terms that emotionally, I think since Camino, in terms of Deku specifically, Deku and All Might, this combination of characters, Camino has just struck a specific chord, which I don't think any of the other part for me specifically, personally, has struck quite that hard. After Camino, Camino was special in that sense.
You know something that I thought about that like makes that hit for me, actually, that like Deku and All Might, their dynamic, it really hasn't changed. I always think about when All for One got locked up and he was like, All Might, you missed your chance to die. You should have died in Camino so Deku can grow. And then when he said to Shigaraki, he was like, now it's your turn. And we got that page of Deku with Shigaraki. Shigaraki is showered in light. He's moving away from his master. He's learning new things on his own. He's thrown to the wild. And Deku went back to UA. He's put in dark. He's still sheltered by All Might. And when All Might lost Nana, that, like, you know what I'm saying? He really grew off that. And he had to straight up leave Japan because he just couldn't do it.
It's like, it's funny because it's like that thing, a lot of that's interesting. I still can't get behind just the Camino thing, because even then you had the overhaul arc. And it's like I said, that fighting shit don't really move me. Like I've seen the MC do it plenty of times. They just, like they got new development, and then we get outside the arc and these niggas back to square one as they were the same person as before. Like that fight didn't really change them as a person. This what moves me is the aftermath of the shit that happens when they talking after the fact, or it's a moments after the fact, like overhaul the stuff Deku was saying, or like the moment, that conversation he had with All Might in there. That shit.
And then, like, I'm glad you brought up overhaul, bro, because another character that's very important to Deku,
I know you finna say
Night Eye, bro. This Night Eye, Night Eye, everything that's happening right now with Deku, Night Eye tried to stop it from happening, and people don't appreciate that about him, because he was one of the first people to tell Deku, you can't be All Might, you are not All Might, and Deku and we took it the wrong way, and Deku took it the wrong way.
The other thing that I kind of want to highlight though is that I've always said this about part of the reason why Deku feels lost as an MC, especially during the second phase of the story, is that one, it's the rise of the villain saga, but what came with that was having to establish the world beyond Deku and having to use storytelling points beyond just Deku, because it wouldn't be believable, because Horikoshi made it a point to establish a very bureaucratic and politically conscious world. So for example, almost all like the reveal we got in Pro Hero arc, you could have had like Deku and various other kids meet up, and some other pros help them, and they could have done like a 20-on-1 for the introduction of a high end if they wanted to, and like that could have been how we met some of the other pro heroes. But instead, we decided to actually showcase. What the hell? Hey,
Panzo, please mute yourself.
Oh, wow.
As you were saying, boss.
So yeah, like as we're going through the world though, so this comes with like certain hits. Like for example, provisional license exam is designed to open up other schools, but that means Deku gets less time being the focus percentage-wise in that arc. Same thing ends up happening as we go into like overhaul arc, which is designed to like focus on. It's like the first time we can see Shigaraki and the League of Villains really operating without their benefactor. So in turn, we get multiple little chapters and segments of the story that are heavily focused around them, fleshing out their dynamic, really building the opposition that Deku is supposed to be going against. And in turn, if we're spending a chapter building twice in Toga's dynamic, that's extra time that's being taken away from Deku. And I don't just mean a single individual chapter, obviously, because you know you have the big Sis Magne stuff, and all that is like an actual plot that carries all the way through the overhaul arc. And then, of course, finally fleshing out Kirishima and kind of like building up some of the other people who are going to be big players. And so you look at things like Remedial Course arc, which is designed to highlight the failures of quirk training for young children. And there's all that, which is something that Deku never even experienced, which is another reason why he can't be there for that arc, besides just not having failed the test. He's not going to be in that position because he's not someone who's ever been there. And thus he takes his quirk as a gift. He's not going to be the one that's going to be able to like necessarily properly educate those children. Because if you think about it, those kids being like, my quirk is the greatest, I have a super great quirk, blah, 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 blah. That's something that Deku would be like, yeah, I'm glad you all really like your quirks. Like that's something that he would kind of miss out on in the process because he's such a quirk appreciator. I almost said quirk.
Sorry, guys.
I realized. No
problem.
Yeah. My nose went. Man, I was.
You don't need to explain it. Just
don't worry, Ponzu. Don't worry, Ponzu. But then, so it's like you have overhaul arc, remedial course arc. These are all legitimate arcs, pro hero arc. Even in joint training, if we're going to introduce other characters, so it's like because we decided to build the world of My Hero around Deku, Deku suffers, and because other people's like. It's weird when you like think about it, but it's because like NBA, where we just straight up have like 20 chapters where Deku's just not there. He couldn't be developed during that time period. So it's like
I think for me, a major aspect is I think it's not a surprise, and everybody knows it. Deku is not my favorite character and not my favorite MC. And I think for me, the main reason for that is that it always feels like he has to go through some development that he's never going to get. And not just because there's no time to get it or because he's not there in the arcs where he could have gotten it, but because it's just not the kind of development an MC in a hero story can go through. Because it's kind of the development I'm kind of waiting for him is basically sit down, you can't handle that. That's basically the development I need him to go through. The idea that not just he can't do it alone, but the idea that this time you can't do this. You're just a 17-year-old kid, go home. And of course he can't go through that. He's an MC. He can't go through a development that basically says, I can't deal with it. I have to go home. Somebody else has to do this.
Yeah, the story usually
he can't do it. The story doesn't allow him to do that. The thing is, Bakugo had all these character flaws that he had to address. And Todoroki also had all these character flaws that he had to address. Even Uraraka, who just started out for the money and then found some different goal to fight for. There was all things that made them more heroic. But the thing is, Deku basically came into the story fully heroic. Like he didn't need to have any major character development that made him a hero. He had to learn in terms of learning how to fight, learning how to control his quirk, learning how to maybe learn teamwork, whatever, or see himself as more worthy or have more self-confidence. All these things he had to learn, but these things that make him more heroic, he doesn't need it. He came into the story with a fully heroic personality. But it kind of always looked like his self-sacrificing, which is his heroic stuff, is his major flaw. But there's not really an attempt to undo that, because you can't make a hero less self-sacrificing without making them less of a hero, and that's not the goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do think that Deku's also an issue where certain character developments, that's why I said he like needs to be injured and away from UA for him to have some of these moments, because he's not going to be like, he's legitimately, would it make sense almost for him to be like, I need to be less self-sacrificing while in certain the positions he's been in, because he almost can't afford to be, both
and the plot can't afford it
and
either.
It's like narratively he can't afford it, but like also like as an actual person, it's kind of like if you have a job and you're like super in debt and you're just busting your ass, then it's like, yeah, I know I need to rest more, but if I can't afford to take more time for myself, then I'm just not going to be able to do it. It doesn't matter if I need to be able to do it or not.
Yeah. And I think that's something which frustrates me a lot, because I have been starting in this and I'm frustrated with Deku, because I'm always thinking, Deku, you have to take a step back. Deku, you have to sit down. Deku, you have to go home. Deku, you are 16, 17, 15 in the beginning of the story. And you can't handle this. But the thing is, the plot doesn't allow him to not handle this. He has to do this because nobody else can. And he knows he has to do it. So even if adults tell him, you can't do this, this is too dangerous, you're just a child, he knows he has to do it. And there's just not a chance for him to learn that he's a kid, and he should be acting like a kid. And that's kind of why I think he might be seen as having less of a character development than others, because this major flaw that he has, which is a self-sacrificing, is not going to be addressed in the sense that it's going to be undone, that he's not being self-sacrificial anymore, but rather that he's just, I don't know, learning to be self-confident despite that, or with that part of himself.
All right, time out. Hey, Tarnish, you here around?
You
dynamic duo time, because we gotta gas our boy back up.
Our boy, hey.
You already know. I told you, you be standing up, but like Poison Tree said, we see Deku's development and building his self-esteem, becoming more confident, has become a more competent hero. Like y'all said, the narrative don't allow him to like really fail and see that. But no, at the same time, it's still written well enough so that even when he did be muscular with the help of Koda, they still failed to keep Bakugo out the clutches of the villains. And even when it's the way y'all, we know y'all read the story. You Aniki, Sayas, and definitely Aniki. So it's like, all right, but at the same time, he still knows there's limitations to what he can do. It's not like he just be like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm going. I'm that nigga, and I'm like, no. It's like he realized like sometimes like, okay, if I can do it this way, I compromise and finesse the situation, then he can get what he needs. But a lot Deku needs to build himself up as a person. A lot of other people have like major flaws written on them throughout their face words. So it's like Bakugo's entire personality, mindset, and actions. Like Deku has a new way of life and has to get used to this, and is starting to build a backbone in his spine. Like, yeah, this nigga will fold you in the street, but it's just like at the same time, it's like when he re-interact with Bakugo or he talks to Uraka, like this, that, and other. Now you see him coming into himself as a full person. And one of my biggest things with that was that, like I said, the moment Deku hit me as like, oh, he's actually grown. I told you that fighting shit don't faze me. It's always cool, but it's like ranking you up as like an MC, it don't faze me. What stood out to me was after the cultural festival. It was like, save you save me, and he gave like Eric the little apple and shit, and it's like, oh, down on one knee. I was like, that's that Prince Charming type shit. That's that shit I need. That's that big bro shit. That's that leader. That's that MC shit I really need, and that's what he's coming to more so in the fact. And it's like there's still, but I always like I said, I allow this because the stay in your lane effect that these niggas have. I love it, because how many times are we gonna have Deku and all the kids be the top dogs? and have the heroes looking fucking goofy. It's like a pro and a con to having a world so realistic and logically written within the narrative and how it operates. Because you can't have, because I bet you if it was just Endeavor and them niggas looking suspect and lacking all the time, and then Deco and all the kids stepping up, then it really be an issue.
Well, writing wise, that'd be so garbage.
Exactly.
It would be like,
so it's like I understand to a certain extent, but it's like Deku kind of finesses his way through to get through a lot of situations. Like but that's the point. Me and Tarnish were waiting. I was like, when he's going to hit that brick wall soon enough, and I think that's what a lot of other
that brick wall is coming soon. Like the real brick wall. But there was one thing I wanted to talk about in particular in regards to Deku that like whenever people say it, it don't bother me, but it's like really like that's what you don't like about him. Like it's the heroic thing, like him being overly heroic. Like I feel like from the start of the story, All Might said like you had no power, but you were more heroic than anybody else, and that's just been what it was from day one. Like you have no power, but you were the most heroic person in this story, and that's why you earned this power. And time and time again, they tell us this. Like even in the war recently, Yoichi was like, "Yo, this kid." He's possessed by a drive to save people that eclipses common understanding. Like it doesn't even make sense how much he wants to save people. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it just
because
doesn't.
he wants to save.
No, of course. But
and then like even when he said you look like you needed saving the Shigaraki, people don't like that. But when I see that, it's like, yo, it's really crazy that despite everything he's done, like he's still willing to look at this guy and be like, I want to save you. That's who he is.
That's why once again it's like I'm gonna read this super chat.
And then 330
I got it.
Well, even 304 and 305 where he's like the last user and then he's like, I want to save that little boy even though I know there might be no other way besides killing. I still want to try. And
that's why
we have your back.
That's when I was like, since Camino, nothing really hit for Deco. You haven't seen anything from Deco. I was like, you see, the fight shit was crazy. It was cool. But the shit that still sticks with me and I can't stop thinking about is that conversation, those 2 chapters. That shit was fucking like, nigga, when Horikoshi were the one writing about talking.
That I feel like that was Horikoshi doubling down on who Deku is. Like Deku is
right. But that's the thing. That's the thing. I think for me, the aspect is that I have been waiting for this, hitting this brick wall. And so far, we are 300 chapters in. There has not been this brick wall. So it's kind of, we're moving there, but also patience running out in that sense. Like, I need this brick wall to come.
That's what it is. It's the patience.
And the other aspect is that in between, as you're saying, he's doubling down on the character. He's not changing so much as every other character in this class specifically, and also among the adults, Endeavor specifically, but a lot of other adults now too, like Mount Lady. They're all learning what it means to be a real hero. And Deku came in as a hero, which I think if you are reading the story and you like good character development, then you will like Bakugo because he goes through a lot of that. And Deku's character development isn't about becoming a hero. He started as a hero. And the one development that he needed all this time, this brick wall, is still not coming.
I think
that's why some are running on patience.
Let me talk.
But I think
I would like to add something.
No, I want to address that one real quick. I don't agree.
Hold on. Let Ponzu go. I'm gonna do the super chat and say something, and then we can get back to it. Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Ponzu.
Okay. That's the thing. For me, Deku, what he needs is to be remind that he's human. That's the thing about it. That he's human. The thing about it, like we all said that he came in as a hero, but what we think about heroes is that they are invincible, incorruptible, stuff like this. And Deku always have shown all these traits, you know what I mean? Like invincible of mind, incorruptible, stuff like this. But he's fucking human, and that's the thing about it. Everything we show him, what I want him to do is to fail, but fail so miserably that he's thinking about changing his ways. You know what I mean? Because right now, always he had his moment of thinking about taking things like on my own hands. It didn't succeed. He succeeded. It was good, but now I want him to lose mentally because he never lost it in even when he was in Black Deku, he never lost his guide compass. You know what I mean? About saying about being a hero, but right now he has to question this himself. What is to being a hero? That's the thing about it, because some people are things so naturally that they don't really think about what it really is. Because for me, Deku is not a hero to himself. That's the thing about it. He's a hero for people, for many people. He is like a hero, but he's not a hero to himself. And we're still seeing that every time that he's not considering himself. No, people try to remind him, no, you're a human, man, too. Just chill out. But he keep pushing. Like today, like what he said in this chapter, yeah, we need to follow, go after these guys and everything. And I need. He said again, I need, and everybody remind him, we man, you're not alone. And that is something that he has to learn. How I don't know how Rikoshi will do that, but he needs to learn somewhere. Maybe Aoyama is the way to sort of, because right now he has to save somebody that betrayed him. You know what I mean? He has to accept to save someone that betrayed him. That he. Ale, next, I will say next to all these people that are from his class, like what his name, the president of the class with Ida, and Ochako. His real first friend that he learned from, really like first friend. You know what I mean? Is that the only relationship he has special with nobody else is Aoyama. Aoyama is a guy that always was in an island, and he opened himself to Deku. That's really low. That one-on-one relationship you don't have with anybody. That's like Deku, like Todoroki have this kind of relationship to Deku, to Ida and Deku, and like you can see sometimes like there are friendships that are more stronger between the class, between like Kaminari and Mineta. They have some kind of relationship, like they're really like buddies. But when you see Bakugo and Kirishima, there's that kind of relationship, and the thing that Deku built with Aoyama, like, that's the same kind of relationship, like, and he's about to lose that, and I can't wait to see the reaction of how he will react to that right now, how he will think about that, about what is being a hero, because right now, what they gonna do? Because literally, what we saw is Shigaraki eyeing on, literally seeing the situation there at the school from the chapter before. We saw that. We saw that he was looking at the school, literally. I don't know how, but still, he was able to see the school. So if something happens there, maybe they already know that the traitor was revealed. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but yeah, that wall that you're talking about, I think that's what you're talking about. That he needs to fail so irreversibly that he questioned himself, like, about what is being a hero, because he never really think about that. Like, from what I know, thinking for him being a hero was being like All Might, saving everybody. Or now we say, yeah, we're gonna save everybody together, but still, yeah. That's the
Let me
thing
hop in
about it
real
is
quick
that.
because I want to
Yep.
grab this super chat since it's fading away.
Yeah.
Nader came
Oh
through
yeah,
again.
that's true.
Hold on. This is one major weird thing that I've always had. Bakugo's relationship with the class is more open and a lot closer than Midoriya is. Look at this chapter. Bakugo comes in with insight, and Midoriya doesn't bring any. Now, the insight thing is a little different because we've seen, like, based on classroom dynamics and stuff like that, based on even movies, since we've been incorporating movie characters and different plot lines, we can use those as references too. Deku is willing to interact with people, but it is especially worth noting that Bakugo is, one, far more extroverted than Deku, just as a baseline. But two, that where Midoriya is mentally is he's gone back. Like how we've been talking about how, like, you want him to hit that wall, and I'm kind of thinking that, like, we thought like the war, like, around Deku alone was going to be the, like, where he got to hit that wall, and he kind of did when he, like, collapsed and gave up and was willing to come back with him. but he didn't fully emotionally commit to the idea that he was wrong, just that he couldn't keep going in that moment. Him being like, I have to keep going and not providing insight directly ties into that still selfish ideology, or that more selfless to the degree, like it's self-centered, but in the sense of that, like he's focused on himself ideal, where he's not giving insight on how they need to approach things because he still doesn't think of them as people who need to be there. So that's kind of how I look at it from that perspective. So it's like we're seeing that while Deku has valued his friends this entire time and has wanted to save them, will do anything for them, like back in the training camp arc when he was like, I want to save Bakugo and Tokoyami, I won't just throw Tokoyami to the wind. So from that perspective, it's kind of like Deku basically values everybody around him more than himself, partially more likely because he sees them as like having been heroes longer, but also because he spent so much of his life worthless. So we kind of need to see, we do need to see that failure. The issue is that because he only sees himself as valuable while saving people, we need to make sure that he loses, like he hits that failure wall and then has a reasonable circumstance to eventually pull him out of it. I understand why some people think like the Deku Black arc or Far From Home arc was for that, or a good time for that, but having Deku fail while also having Deku be run ragged basically gives you like kind of two different choices. You can either do the Deku failing arc and have him run ragged and then go from there, or you can kind of have him not hit that major failure with that situation and then make sure it's one that's a lot more personal, because what we might be getting is also the calm before Deku gets extremely dark and extremely towards that pushing people away aspect, you know what I mean? And then somebody had a question for Seiya specifically in the chat.
Wait. Deku, I have, so the question was what I want to personally see from Deku. And first and foremost, I follow the chat and I've seen these two ideas, that either killing a villain or this Gwen Stacy moment, be that through, I don't know, a dying classmate or a dying mentor. I would love both of them. I just really want to see him hit this wall, and where he just fails at some point, and then have to come to the conclusion that not just sometimes he needs help, but sometimes he just has to take a step back and let others do it without him. Because I think his major flaw is not that he isn't willing to accept help. He is willing to accept help if it's absolutely necessary, but also that he has to involve himself in everything. Like, he doesn't listen to adults when they tell him he shouldn't be there. He doesn't listen to anybody when they tell him it's not his role to save the world alone. And the plot is kind of pushing him into the situation where he absolutely has to be the one to save the world, because he is the one who now has this powerful quirk that can deal with the situation. And so I'm not really sure if it's at all even feasible that he can have a development which says, I'm not the one to do this. I can't deal with this. I have to go home and just take 2 weeks off to rest. I'm not sure if the plot even gives him the chance to do this, but I kind of want to see him just go home, go on vacation with his mom, and have 2 weeks of rest where he can trust the other guys to handle the situation, whatever it is. And
why I don't agree with that is that you saying the narrative is pushing like he's the only one that can save the world. Bakugo literally just said, "Yo, when you can't keep us on, we'll be there. We'll be there."
No, the people around him absolutely tell him that he has to take a step back. As I said, the adults tell him that, his classmates tell him that, but it's like the situation where he's in. I'm not sure if he really can.
No, he's still like at the same time. It's like when we said we got your back, bro. He's not the only one saving the world. It's like they already said, like, yo, you just got a special power. You're not special yourself, and that's what they're trying to get that point across. Because all Bakugo's like, yo, bro, you can't take everything along. We got you, and it's like you need to focus on all for one Shigaraki that thing, but that's not the only threat out there. That's why they say
even the
narrative literally
like,
just
we
said
better go search.
Yeah, and that's why narrative just said.
I said that the adults tell him to take a step back. In this case, Bakugo, there are characters that absolutely tell him to take a step back. There are characters absolutely telling him that they have his back, that he shouldn't be able to.
Narrative too. I'm just the narrative. That's what
the narrative. I mean, the overall story. In the overall story, he has this quirk, which is the only quirk that can stand in Shigaraki's way. And I'm not sure if within this story, he gets the chance to really take a long break, not just a day off, or not just, well, this villain I won't take care of, but just saying, well, right, I'm just 2 weeks off, deal with it on your own. I'm out. I'm not sure if he gets the chance. Right.
Well, what were the chance actually? That would have to be like way at this somewhere in this series, because at this point, the way it flows is, and especially how it works and what y'all
impossible.
want.
That's what I mean. It's impossible. That's what I mean.
That's
what I mean. I'm not sure if narratively he can. As I said, I don't think this is feasible that he has that chance. But I think that's what I think he would need for him to actually just learn that this is not all about him, and the story is sadly not the kind of story where he can just say that. So I don't think it's at all realistic that he can do that.
No,
at least at the moment, he can't just up and leave Japan for a vacation. He can't do that.
I don't agree with that take, because it's like, it's kind of weird saying it's like he can realize that's what he can and should be able to do. It's like, but like he don't have the time to do it. It's like, I could trust my friends, but I also have to do this. It's like the way, I think it's the way you word it, because it's very weird the way you like putting this, like he'll never get the opportunity to realizing he can trust his friends. He already said, yo, I can rely on you guys too. They've already been stronger than me. Realize they're not just side NPC characters. But when it comes to like, who needs to fight Shigaraki, yeah, that's on him. But he can still realize, oh, I can trust my friends to do other things too, because this is not the only threat out there. He can trust
I know. It's just
I'm pretty sure he can come to the thing that I can trust my friends.
No, the question was what I want to see from Deku, what I would potentially love to see. And I said from the beginning, this is not something I see feasibly happening in this plot. This is just, when I look at Deku, I see a 16-year-old kid who needs a break. And not just a break from fighting small-time villains, but also a break from worrying about Shigi. He's just a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid. Now he's 16. He's going to be 17 and a half a year or so on. I don't know. I think if I was asked, what do I think I want Deku to learn? I think I would want him to learn not just that he can trust his friends with dealing with small-time issues here or there, but also that he maybe isn't the one the world rests on, and he can take a step back and actually go on vacation without this world dying. But that's not the story this is. So I'm perfectly aware that he can't just go and leave and trust that his friends deal with everything, including Shigaraki. He can't do that. That's kind of what I want to happen. That's, I mean...
Well, wait, hold on, wait, Nader. I completely disagree with what he said. He said sometimes it feels like Midoriya is the main character because he has one for all and that's it. He doesn't really bring a presence into his surroundings.
He gave
with what we just got with what we just got with Deku versus 1A. I completely disagree with that.
That happens because he has both A.
They all, I mean, yeah, but they all told him, like, yo, your power isn't the only thing about you. We know who you are. Like, we've seen you help us, fight us, bring us together. We're not victims that need coddling. And they've attached to him emotionally. Ochako, her whole speech, she was just like, yo, he's a regular high school kid. She said that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's all it is. And actually, I'm pretty glad Nader brought this up, because that was a topic I wanted to get back to too. And saying, like, they're talking about Deku's growth and development and what type of like person he was, like that, and this is literally the thing too. Is like you saying this, and he,
you cut out, I think, or is it my?
Nah, he cut out.
All right. I actually, the thing is, I can see what Nadia means. I think.
You back now? Or
yeah.
You cut out.
Yeah, my shit cut out.
Oh.
Yeah, the point is that you've actually proven a point, and that like people saying like, well, he hasn't really changed. First of all, we need to establish what's early Deku and what's now Deku. The establish when early, like a cutoff arc or something, when Deku stopped changing and when he didn't, because we gonna
you know what's crazy? Like people saying Deku hasn't changed. You know how he used to always flinch to Bakugo? Remember when Bakugo and Shoto fought those Cinderhouse gang, and he was like not very all-mightish of him talking shit to Bakugo?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like little things like off the side, or like you can literally see the character doing that. Like,
is it because Deku changed or because Bakugo changed?
What's the difference in that situation?
Because Deku before Deku would have been like, and like I remember there
was
on a bus going to USJ.
He wouldn't have said nothing. He wouldn't have said nothing in the past.
I remember I was on a bus going to USJ. People are talking shit to Concho. Oh, this is crazy. You ain't scary. Now he over here being the main one's like, they ain't very All Might like you, nigga, talking shit. He's like, what you say? He was just
you know
like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I said it, nigga.
Like, he wouldn't have did that before.
Yeah, but back to the point too is like you saying he doesn't feel like a main character outside of having his powers, or like he's not there presenting his ideas. That's the point. Deku has become a more solid character or human and leader throughout the course of the story, and that's the thing that people not appreciating. He's becoming more and more solid. Like it's like his presence is getting there and is getting up there, but he hasn't reached that time yet. But that's the thing again. Look at everybody's presence in the story. Look what All Might has went through. Look, Mirio was who he was already off the rip. Those are people he has to line up to and become his own person. He's still trying to become his own person in his own type of way.
Honestly, I kind of felt authority from bro this chapter when Hagakure brought him. I was like, oh shit!
And that's the thing too.
She brought the big homie, and he was like, yo, I heard.
I mean, he was already on his way, wasn't he? I think that's probably the first one.
When he said, I'm gonna take a stroll, that means
him being around.
Yeah, he was going to look for Aoyama when he said, I'm going to take a stroll. That was just a cover. So then Hakaguri found him when he was alone taking a stroll. And then, but my point to that is just like Deku's becoming more of a leader as time goes on. And JT, that nigga was like, he was like, this is the Deku I know. He was like, okay, we got a plan. We could do this, that, and other. And everybody was like, yo, how are we gonna win? We can't win this, that, and other. He was like, nah. He put his hand up. He was like, we got this shit. He's like, we gonna. I was like, okay, I'm feeling you, nigga. You making me.
He has been a leader since early on. To be honest, he has been.
No. There's like he's leading the team, but it's like he's actually having that presence and reassurance that this is my MC. This nigga be the
he said everyone is in this together with me. So
yeah, but the thing is, we already had these moments from it. Even as early as USJ, we had moments of them when Mineta was really impressed about how Deku had all this plan suddenly in his head. And even in Sports Festival, when they made the horse race, carriage thing, whatever it was called, cavalry battle, he also took the leader role in this group. So he had taken, yes, he's growing more into it, but it's not like this is a new development. This is just something he's growing better at.
There's two ways to look at that too. And there's the logical, you can have a really good technical plan, but the way you carry yourself, we're not going to really have faith that you can lead us if you shaky about it. But the way he has his confidence, undeniably, he has confidence, the way he carries himself and exudes that confidence, and the way he leads them now, all right, the way he carries himself now, that's the crux of like him becoming more so like, okay, he's really aged, he's really seasoned. Now you're starting to see how it's just the same way with me, Terrence. Remember me and you was gassing up that whole Vestas World shit. The way Yoichi carries himself in that bitch may not be the strongest nigga, but you know he is the godfather to all those niggas.
I just don't agree that this is a new development. I think this is something that has been there and it's been growing. It's been getting better, sure. But I mean, it's something that's been pointed out by Aizawa during the provisional license exam. And then beforehand, he has been kind of admired, even in USJ, by Mineta for coming up with a plan so fast and taking the lead and going to action, even when the rest were terrified. He has been getting their respect by virtue of just doing things, even when everybody else was afraid. And he took a leader role pretty early on in the story. This is not something he just did recently.
Those were isolated moments, though. Like that's
no, they were in every arc. Like in every arc, he took quite the important leader role. He took an important leader role in USJ with Mineta and Froppy as his team. Then he took a leading role in the sports festival during the cavalry battle. Then he took a leader role in
real quick.
What's up?
Yeah, I want to dive in real quick and help. I'm kind of helping Sayaz out with this a bit. Where to a certain degree, what's happened is that Deku's character has regressed. So to like that feeling of Deku being that leader, I would say that if you take Deku's joint training personality and like where he was at mentally going into the match, like pre-round 5, Deku's mindset, and you put that in current level Deku, he would have that leadership presence that Nader is talking about, like Bakugo having with the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
But specifically, Deku has had a regression now where he sees himself as cursed, which Bakugo seeing the power as cursed before Deku did But like now we see Deku seeing himself kind of as cursed, seeing himself as he needs to be away from people. He's kind of regressed and surrendered some of that leadership capability because he's been so in his head. In a lot of ways, Deku is at that wall that you want him to hit. It's just a matter of like him fully realizing what it is that is sitting in front of him, and it's the limits of his abilities and stuff like that. And that it's okay, it's actually okay for him to have that limit because he's got the safety net. So he's got to kind of acknowledge the value of the people around him, and then also why and then in addition to that, though, like the way he's valuable to them and why they do that and how that creates a position for him going forward. Because Bakugo is seeming like the leader more, because Bakugo was probably the one who took point on detective work to find Deku over the last month when Deku's been gone. It makes sense that when you have two heavily established leaders within the class, and then notice Momo was doing a lot of the talking here too. So you already have characters like Bakugo, Momo, Ida, and Deku established as leaders. In turn, Ida's more focused on his personal dynamic with like Deku and like that aspect right now. So you have Momo making the points with Bakugo because she's, again, one of the more analytical and vocal people, and it's like harkening back all the way to what she did during the battle training. So it's like this consistency of like letting all these characters have their moments, but also because Deku doesn't value himself, it's like he's kind of withdrawn from all the stuff that's going on, and we're seeing the way they step up and fill the void, so that we can see that they do help Deku. They do. Okay, hold on, let me real quick.
Mute me.
So he's like seeing them fill that role, which is also going to be arguably part of the issue. But the idea is that he can do all the things that they do and bring that to the table. He needs to see that and realize that that's the thing that helps them go forward, because all the people in this class have powerful quirks, but none of them have one for all. But they're currently establishing leadership, and he needs to realize that that's about his heart more than it's about his power and his responsibilities. And that it's the person he is. That means that his mind would still have that impact on this crowd if they knew him, even if he lost his quirk today.
Now, I think, I can't believe you done this. You helped bring my point across. It's like he was saying that I'm basically trying to say that Deku was more of a reluctant leader earlier on, but now he's a willing leader, while as Bakugo was the one to take charge. But given how Deku was the lackey or lackluster, the loner, if anything, before, and it was like alone and isolated because he was quirkless, while Bakugo had the strongest quirk around, was already a leader, so that's something he used to. While Deku was more maturing into the role. Like, once again, it's like, who are you going to ask you? Like, once again, like if we ask people to lead us in the battle plans, notice how we're going to have a 50-50 split within the church, or we're going to have it like in the stream, or we're going to have it in the chat too. It's going to be like, well, who you asking to lead you in battle, Bakugo or Deku? And their powers don't count, because I know people going to choose Deku to win the fight because he got stronger powers, whatever. If we just talking analytics, we need a leader to help us get through this, like, who are we going to be choosing? And then it's like, all right, well, it's 50-50, rather in some cases where you have the leader established character, which is the hero MC character. But here,
that's a hard ass question.
Exactly, right? So but if it was was the way it's written, because Deku has to come from the ground and build himself up as a confident, self-esteem person. Literally, look at Deku from before. Like that. Thank you for my. I can't believe you've done this. You made my point properly. Deku was way more of a reluctant leader. While he's like, okay, our back's against the wall. Shit, everybody's panicking. I'll be the one to think of something. More so as Bakugo is the one that's, oh, these pussy ass niggas pulled up. Let's get this shit popping. Yo, you do this, you do that, do that other. While Deku's like, okay, you're really good at this. You can do this, that, and the others. Like, more. You see the difference, right? Why his
no,
back
actually, I disagree.
Bakugo be the first one.
Was always a loner when fighting.
Bakugo be the one to way further take charge more willingly, because that's something he's more used to. Deku has to build himself up, and has been building himself up into this more so like, okay, I'll take charge. I'll make people reassured. I'll do that. And that came with him. Emilio asking him, what type of hero do you want to be? And it's like,
yes, bro. He kept thinking about it. He was pausing mid sentence. He was like, no matter what trouble someone's in, I'll just smile. He paused. He's like, he thought about his mom saying she couldn't take it no more. He's like, I've had so many experiences that this road is going to get harder and harder. He was like strong enough so no one has to worry, blah, 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 the greatest hero. And Mirio himself said, what a scattered mission statement. Like, you got a whole bunch of goals you're trying to live up to.
I actually want to disagree about Bakugo and Deku. The thing is, Deku was reluctant in the sense that he was shy. He didn't necessarily want to have this leader role, but he wasn't like holding back. Every time he had somebody at his disposal who wanted to help him, he was very happy to use their help and very happy to form a team and very quick to pick teams together and try to find the right people that could fit his team. Bakugo was actually always somebody who didn't want a team, who wanted to do everything alone. Like, sure, he had these guys running after him in school, but he didn't really, I mean, other than having them to admire him, he didn't really want their help in a fight. In USJ, I think he was pretty rude to Kirishima, if I remember correctly. In Sports Festival, the only reason he took Kirishima on was because Kirishima told him he wouldn't be standing in his way. And in provisional license exam, he just walked off on his own. Like, Bakugo wasn't happy to be a leader in the terms that he went out leading people and telling people what to do. No, he just ran on, do his own thing, and then people ran after him because he was such a great figure. But he never wanted them to run after him, so he wasn't like eager to be a leader. He just learned that. Bakugo is a person who actually learned to work with people. He always knew how to make use of them when they were there and were basically forcing him to make use of them because they just didn't leave him alone. But he didn't want to have a team.
See how he had the potential though? Like,
yeah, he always had the potential, but Deku had the potential. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that Deku sure matured into the position. He is now he learned to be better of a leader later on, and then as Aniki said, kind of regressed again. But they both started out equally in terms of they both had the ability to lead, they both had the technical and strategical skill to lead, and they both had the kind of the personality that drew people in to come and want to follow him. Both of them to separate ways. Deku because he needed confidence, and Bakugo because he didn't really want a team, and now he does want to work with people. Had to learn to actually embrace this role, sure, but they started similar in that regard in terms of having the skill and the ability and the charisma to lead a team.
I can't believe you done this. Well, that's different. Say yes. That's a difference of teamwork, reluctance. Deku was fine to work, but not stand ahead, and that is true because Deku wasn't like, I'm in front. I'm the one running this. It's more like, okay, you do this, you do that. Like divergence. It's almost like how the tactical niggas be like. It was more so tactical, if anything. You feel me? More so like there's different ways to lead, but the way he was doing was a lot more. Wasn't present based. It was a lot more tactical operative. Like, okay, it's like the tech nigga in the back. Okay, you do this.
Deku dealt with the cards he was given in a lot of situations, because even in the sports festival, he was like, nobody wanted to work with him because he had 10 billion points, something like that. Like, nobody wanted to work with him. But then Hatsume was there, and he was like, you know what? Okay,
Pedro.
Then Ochako came, and then he went to go find Tokoyami, like, because he wasn't with a group for whatever reason at that point. I don't know who was sleeping on him back then.
Oh, me neither.
But then Deku was like, you know what? I could use you. And then even in the race when he used that damn robot piece to fly ahead, like, he was always good at making plans, but it was applying it and actually believing in himself.
Sure. I'm not saying he didn't mature. I'm just the thing with Bakugo was just referring to East saying that the difference between them was that Bakugo always told people, you do this, you do that. But the thing is, Bakugo walked out on most of the time.
I want to defend East on that, because in final exam, I feel like that's the biggest point to that, where he smacked the shit out of Deku, and then once he realized they really couldn't beat All Might, he was like, "Fine, I have a plan, but I don't want to work with you. But I have a plan. Just take my gauntlet, shoot at him, and then we're gonna run to the gate, because that's like the best course of action we could take right now." Like, he had the ability to do things like that. He chose not to. Whereas Deku had to mostly learn how to, and had to be comfortable with himself being in that position. And he gave Ida. Deku was supposed to be class president. He gave it to Ida. It's supposed to be Deku was supposed to be the president. Like, people forget that too.
And MK said that's not true though. Joint training, he took the lead, but he didn't reject his team. He used them the way they needed to be used. That's another thing too. Is like, once again, in joint training, he was the one that led them niggas, like the way, like,
they
like
were nervous. They all said they shit was trash. He was like, I can only float, I melt, I stick. we're gonna lose. He was like, nah, no, we not.
He was like, then Deku was like, no, we got this. That's the reassurance. Like, you can have it, like, again, you can have a battle plan. Deku,
that's a perfect parallel. Bakugo didn't even really reassure his team. They thought he was on fuck shit at first until he saved Jiro. Because he couldn't communicate it properly that he was actually, you know what I'm saying? They were like, I don't know about you. You just running ahead. You ain't changed at all. And then that Setsuna's whole plan depended on him not changing.
And then
Bakugo did change. Bakugo had to change.
Exactly, and that's
but what I'm saying, Bakugo changed into being a better leader, just as Deku did. They both grew into being leaders. It's not like they.
And I got development too. It's like if you look at USJ, how Mineta was operating. Like, yes, they were fighting villains. He was scared, but it's like, okay, Mineta was like, oh shit, what we gonna do? Like, what we gonna do? This, that, and the other. But then if you look at back at joint training, it's like, okay, Midoriya said we got this, then we got this. It's about how you carry yourself. That's the thing. Like I said, a technical nigga that sit in the back on like the typical cartoon show, everybody got a strength, right? You got the hero character, you got the technical smarts character. The layout of the place is this. If Derek, if you do this, and then Anarchy, you use your big raw muscles to do that tarnish, and you use your powers to do this. It's like, okay, yeah, you giving us plans and stuff, but it's like, who's the hero? Who's the leader walking in here? If Deku and Bakugo, like, let's say if Deku and Bakugo walk in the thing now, or like, let's say before the war, right? Deku and Bakugo walk in the room, and it's like, okay, here's the leader of the 1A, and you gonna be like, they never give you any description, but who carries themselves like as like, okay, this is somebody we should be following, or this is somebody that gives me like, this guy reassure me he got what it takes, or he's the top dog. That's what it's about being. It's like, he needs to get that presence as a top dog. He doesn't have that. But why would he have that if he's been an underdog? Like, literally,
it's important that Bakugo apologized in front of the class too, because they didn't know he changed really either until that point.
Exactly. So it's
he
like,
said sorry in front of everybody. So now they both can be seen as leaders now. Truly, like, Bakugo is really not that guy anymore to the whole class now.
Hold on. So there is one thing that I did want to point out that Brendan De La Cruz made it a point to address, which I did feel like this part was being kind of like skipped over, which was Aizawa's comments on those two being the focal points of the class and provisional license. Now, the issue that I think what we're really having here is that, to a certain degree, what needs to be tweaked is that leadership and team players, like whether or not you're a team player or whether or not you're a good leader, is kind of a Venn diagram. And so the issue here is that there's a part of being a leader that's just like the good cooperation skills and being able to communicate effectively and hearing out your subordinates or whatever. That part comes into just being a good team player. Like, that's a skill that you need in both those categories that Bakugo was lacking, which is why it's fair to say he was a bad leader at the beginning if you feel like that skill is as important as the intellectual like decisions he was making. But they both had different types of leadership established from the beginning. Deku being a voice of assurance, and Bakugo like both being a voice of confidence, but in different ways. One for soothing, one for like initiation. Like with Bakugo running point with Kirishima, and then during USJ transitioning that into Sports Festival with him basically being like you because of your quirks, and like valuing the utility but not necessarily connecting with the people, which is a flaw as a leader. You need to make sure you can connect with the people, because that's how you make sure they stay devoted to you and ride by you. But that's kind of what the point of like Kirishima and him being there, being the horse, and like the bond that we know that Kirishima shares with Mina is really why she was kind of there. So we know like certain people that he proved himself to truly were riding for him. So he was able to establish himself through actions. And that's primarily how Bakugo's always handled things. So it was typically a worse form of communication from him, whereas Deku had way better communication, even if he wasn't always running towards the front. So while Deku didn't necessarily charge in blind during provisional license to take the lead of the class, by him communicating with them and establishing like, hey, this is likely to be the threat that we're facing, we need to work together, showing them that he knows what he's doing, was enough to draw them in. And then you even see Jiro makes the decision for him to help counteract Yoshindo's waves instead of waiting for an order directly. So you kind of see how he has more of like a reactive leadership versus Bakugo's more proactive leadership. So as we progress through the story, like by the time we hit joint training, both of them have hit a point where they've achieved like both pro and reactive leadership skills. And that's what we've seen Deku kind of lose since he's lost his approach as a proactive and like a reactive, but like also conversational and assurant leader. And because he's not having that basis anymore, and he's not utilizing his communicative skills, now we're seeing like that fall out, and we're not seeing that leadership skill show itself anymore. Hence Nader's complaints. But
yeah, I think this argument about Aizawa is pretty important, but he doesn't. I don't think he means at that point we have two fully established great leaders here, because Midoriya, even if you look at just this arc, provisional license exams, Midoriya kind of takes the lead in a more practical manner. But if you would have asked him if he's the leader, of course he would have said no, because Midoriya is the kind who thinks everybody else is superior to him, because he would have never accepted that he's the leader, but he was de facto the leader in that sense. While Bakugo, who was the other character that Aizawa pointed out, just walked out on the entire group, and people were running after him, but that's also not what a leader does. Bakugo really just wanted to do this thing on his own. What Aizawa meant was that they have these two really big figures that draw people in, that have the charisma of leaders, that aspire other people. He didn't really talk about fully formed leaders that already are fully grown and matured, but just about personalities that are big and that other people look at.
And that was what we have been talking about, in that Deku doesn't have the presence yet because he hasn't reached, or he's reaching that point, and he still has mental reasons too, but he's reaching that point. And that, okay, now I'll be like, yeah, like once again, like he's saying, you have a good technical plan, but it's the way you come across. It's just like when we don't understand each other, but you have another person coming in and you give that viewpoint. It's like the way you carry it or the way you articulate it is like, I think that like one of the reasons people come to me and like, okay, East, can you kind of break it down to me? Because the way I carry myself when I talk about my hero, they know how I present myself. I'm talking about, if somebody want to get like history analytical lessons on like politics and stuff like that, and like they're gonna go to Aniki because of the way he carries himself when he talks about this topic. It's about the way they be carrying themselves in that figure. And it's like Mineta said, I fell for you at USJ when it's like you were scared, but you still powered through. And it was just like, it was the way you carried yourself, even in that moment. Like it wasn't like really the plan. It was just the way you was like, okay, we still gonna do this shit. It's about the way they carried themselves. And Tarnish, I'm gonna let you address the Bakugo apology. Go ahead, and you know how you know what to do. That's on you.
That apology, honestly, like even now with how Sato, I don't know why Horikoshi is using Sato for this specifically, but every time Bakugo acts like old Bakugo, Sato is like, I thought you changed. And it's like, all right, but the rest of the class, like they saw what he did in joint training, and that was surprising, but Bakugo really wasn't open with anybody, really. So him apologizing to Deku in front of the whole class, it shocked all of them, not just Deku. Like some of them weren't expecting to hear that. Some of them didn't even know that Deku was quirkless, probably, until he started talking to him. Even from his letter where he left, and we see Aoyama was reading at this chapter, he told all of them that he got his power from the villains are after him, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets this moment with Bakugo, and you got to think, they've been watching Bakugo and Deku interact with each other all year. Like Bakugo used to scream at him in the middle of the classroom, like, and nobody knew why. Like nobody knew, no context. So they learned about who Bakugo was prior to joining UA from his apology. And now they can see him as more of a complete person. Like, oh, so we've been there with you this whole time. Like you really have changed. You know what I'm saying? But
isn't that what Nadia said? I mean, isn't that what Nadia said exactly? That the apology was more so about Bakugo than it was as the climax, the final of Bakugo's development until now, and not so much about Deku. I mean, that's exactly what Nadia said, right?
But Tarnish, go ahead and use the crux. I'll let you get that one because that was you.
The apology, yeah, like the Deku apology, like, or how he felt about the apology. Honestly, like it was more for Bakugo. And when that chapter first came out, I fought against that. I was like, you know what, nah. But after rereading some certain arcs, after rereading like Deku versus Kachan 2, for example, where he said, I did hate you, like I hated most things about you, but you were amazing, like. And that goes back to what I said earlier about Deku always being heroic. Like Deku is just not going to act that way towards Bakugo. He's just not. He's not going to be like, he tortured me for years. Like he's just not going to be that way. And even in that, that's just not who he is. I feel like, as a community, I feel like I don't want to say we just have to accept it, but it's been like a while now of the story telling us like, even when bad things happen, he will still look at the bright side, like despite no matter what. Like that's just the type of main character he is. Like, and people complaining about it every time. It's like, you know, we've had situations like this before, you know, where we didn't like when he offered Mirio one for all. We have gotten no follow-up to that since it happened, and All Might was listening to that conversation because it was just like that. That's just what it was. Like he felt like he didn't deserve it. He tried to pass it on, and then Mirio reassured him, and you know we just left it at that. So we've gotten moments like that before where we like just haven't gotten follow-up on shit. But it's like I don't know. I maybe like it's just me. I've just accepted that that's who Deku is, and I'm open for Horikoshi to expand on that, of course, in the future, but. Like that aspect of his character, like people complaining about that, it just doesn't make sense to me anymore at this point. Like it's been shown too many times that that's just not.
But this is my thing. I'm gonna have somebody literally explain to me what do you want Deku to say. He already spoke his truth when they fought. Deku versus Kacchan.
They like that was physical. Like that was hands. Like they really fought
was
about it.
He was like, "Yo, nigga, I fucking hated the way you actually treated me. Like, yo, I tried to do this, and you were just an asshole."
He got so emotional that he powered up. He went from 5% to 8%. Like you know what I'm saying?
Like by accident. It's like he already expressed. Like I understand he never once expressed how he truly felt, but at the same time, he's already expressed how he actually felt. Like the most y'all can really get is him saying, like, "Yeah, okay, Kacchan." He's like, "Yeah, Kacchan, I've been waiting for you to apologize the entire time, and finally I can move on." Like, no, it's like he already expressed how he truly felt about all that shit he put him through.
Even during the apology, Bakugo was like, "Oh, I always thought you were looking down on me. I thought I was below you." He said that to Deku in Deku versus Kacchan too, and Deku was like, "That's how you thought this whole time." Like they've had this conversation before. Honestly,
and that's why it should that's the reason it needs to be on Bakugo to apologize. Like, then there need to be no big follow-up from Deku and they have like a half a chapter or a whole chapter, like them saying stuff. Like a few words exchange would have been okay, cool, but they don't need a big thing to make out because that was only for Bakugo. He needed to say what he needed to say because Deku already said his piece. Bakugo had to come to the acknowledgement throughout his whole growth just to get here. That's why he said, "I'm not finished. I ain't get to really say what I wanted to finish saying when Shigaraki stabbed my ass." Because he was like, because Deku already said the blunt of what he needed to say. And it's not that Deku don't care about the apology. It's just that, like, what did y'all want him to say? I've been waiting for this apology, Mama.
That too. No, I want to bring something real quick. What he said to Shoto and EA, like, you're just waiting for him to apologize, aren't you? He was projecting. He was, because he's waiting for Bakugo to apologize to him.
Yeah, I think it's also, I don't think we can demand too much of this apology. The thing is that Bakugo and Deku have been friends long before this apology. Like, what's this apology gonna change? Is Deku suddenly gonna reawaken some resentment that he has already let down weeks ago? The thing is, they've been working together. He knows that Bakugo is now behaving differently, that he changed. He saw this whole change happening. And sure, for us, it's like a major moment that Bakugo finally apologized. And probably also was a big moment for Bakugo, for Deku. But like, I didn't really expect there to be some resentment because he already seemingly forgave Bakugo like months ago. And at this point, it would be kind of weird to be angry again because you apologize for something you were already forgiven for, kind of even if that wasn't spoken about before.
Yeah. To address that, Nader, it just feels like idealist to have a character who just can't have a little resentment. He had resentment. He already let that shit out at Bakugo versus Deku Part 2.
Like they fought.
Also, hold on. Also, we need to focus on the fact that he legitimately is capable of thinking to himself, "I'm going to kill this person." Because that's what happened during the war. He was like, "Oh, nah, Shigaraki is tripping. Let me just real quick hit him with 100%.
Yeah, that was the aim to kill
at the top of the head.
He was aiming to kill that nigga, boy.
But also, I wanted to point out that, like, that idea that he has issues with resenting people that he admires, I do think that that's a perfect opportunity to segue or like to develop from this particular interaction, because I want to slightly bring us back to the chapter since we've just been talking MHA in general.
Been way on board.
But there's like a small bit, like when they're talking, he's like, "Aoyama, and then we just see, "Stop! I can't take it, not from you." And we don't necessarily know if it's like supposed to be Aoyama like thinking like, oh shit, Deku's the one specifically calling me out, or if it's Deku as he's like walking up to him being like, no, I don't want to be betrayed by my friend.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, Deku having built up a relationship and friendship with Aoyama, this would be the moment when he'd be able to start being able to be properly angry at people that are close to him. Because when he said like, because when you the interesting thing that I find is that he looks shocked and like saddened when he says I led them to them, and he looks shocked when he like sees him. But when he's saying like you've been looking sad and I thought something was wrong, he's looking kind of angry, like he's almost ready to fight him already. Is what I
you see. You notice that too, right? Like his facial expressions, he's not fucking with this at all.
Because everything they went through is like, you gotta think
about USJ, USJ, he watched All Might get beat up by Nomu. He was scared for All Might's life. He ran towards him. Like, think about the traumatic events that like has happened to him. Because Koda, his arms, the whole reason why we're so worried about his arms is because of the camp. That was Aoyama. You know what I'm saying? Like, Deku's thinking the same things we're thinking. Like, yo, everything that has happened has been because of you right now.
You know.
Yeah, but the thing is, he might feel angry, sure, but how does this translate into? I mean, sure, if I find out suddenly that this friend I thought was a friend as a traitor, everybody's gonna feel angry. The question is, how angry is he really? And I don't think that's just me, but and there's no hint for this in the manga, but I don't think he's gonna be so angry with Aoyama that he's gonna fight him or
nobody here.
Whatever.
Nobody here.
No fight. There's no fight.
So
no fight,
the only way I can see a fight happening is if, based on this last bit of dialogue, when internal monologue, when Aoyama's like, yes, only me. I wanted to feel equal. It's a callback to the self-sacrificing play that he made. So this is him about to sacrifice himself. So either Aoyama himself is about to do something potentially to trigger an all-for-one detonation, or the fight could be caused. There could be a fight caused by Aoyama just going, to make sure that my parents do not get killed or end up in trouble, I will fight and attack Deku and hopefully get injured or worse to make sure that they live. So when he's like, yes, only me, he's like, yes, only I have to die or only I have to suffer. And since it was getting me a quirk that led to all this and put my parents in this position, they've successfully gaslit and put this into his idea that it's not all his fault.
And there's been narratives like that where people get in power and then like, well, if I'm cursed, and if it wasn't for me doing this, then my family would have never happened like this. And there's been plenty of this isn't something new. There's plenty of writing stances. There's plenty of different reasons for people to be writing. You literally, Deku versus Constant, Deku didn't want to fight at first, but he literally had no choice. He was like, all right, you're not going to quit. So there's only one fucking thing to do, just to fight your ass back. So it's like, there's plenty of ways to work so that if Aoyama had to do what he got to do to save his parents, you literally just seen everything this chapter. And we already knew he was the traitor. You know, I knew he's still pure of heart. It's just like, he had to do something he didn't want to do. And this trumps like, this goes way, this says since birthday in there, basically. Like since you was a kid, you've been following this nigga orders and doing shit. So like, nigga, you had no choice. He really was stuck in the thing. That's my point again. Like, how is Deku really gonna react to this? Because it's like, nigga, you know who All For One is though.
I want next chapter to just open up with your next in Deku's head. Please, like this play that for me again.
And to throw that back again, all them people that wanted, I want Deku as the MC, this and that and that other. And here you go. He's the one handling the traitor plot line.
He's the first. Even Aniki was surprised. He was like, "Damn, Deku's here already," because he's in that position now where things like this can happen. Like
so once again, it's like, well, Nader, I know you was like, so well, Bakugo's the one making the points and stuff like that, but who's handling the actual traitor plot line? Bakugo was just laying out some narrative, like, okay, here's the statistics and the stats we got and what we're looking at our opponents. Meanwhile, Deku's handling one of the biggest plot lines that has come back full circle. That was very prominent before, fell down now. But once again, how do we go back from here? The blowing up, the other kids finding out how do we move from here? Nobody knows.
Bro, that panel of his face, bro, when he came, like he don't feel like the MC to y'all? Like, the way he came like that?
Watch. They gonna watch. Some people gonna switch up on Deku next chapter.
It's not hit. Like he doesn't give off main character vibes still after his whole arc, like of him being out there and then everybody coming to save him and all of them trying to convince him that he is better than he's seeing himself, and he still doesn't feel like the main character.
More valuable, and then he's the one telling us events. We gonna take everything back together. We became the greatest heroes. Narrating.
I think it's difficult to say because I do think that him having OFA is a very important part of him being the main character. But also it's an integral part of his character at this point. You can't really separate which parts of his main character status come from the quirk and which part come from him. Of course, OFA is very, very, very important for him. Else, this whole story wouldn't work the way it's written. So it's maybe an unfair comparison to draw, an unfair criticism, because it's like you can't really say what Deku would be without OFA and which role he would have without OFA.
I feel like Deku would agree with you.
So this is actually something that I wanted to kind of talk about.
Nadir first.
Oh no, he ain't got to apologize for taking over the chat.
Exactly, bro. We love you, Nate.
Nah, you're good. Yeah. We wanted to talk to you about this.
Yep. When it comes to, man, that actually made me lose my train of thought. Y'all messed me up. I'm sick.
We were talking about main characters. And
there we go. If you remember, one of the things that Sue said during when they were confronting Deku was that we're not going to let you live like the main character of a comic book. Because, and I mean, like, this is going to sound weird, but on no level should any character within a story respect the main character as the main character. And what I mean by that is they should not view things as because he is the protagonist or because he is that, we will blah, 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 blah. Especially because all for one and one for all are just special quirks. But at the end of the day, Rewind exists. There's all kinds of super crazy, powerful quirks that exist in this world. New Order exists. Like, when you think about the fact that a quirk like New Order exists, suddenly Deku having one for all doesn't seem like as big of a deal. It's a big deal because it ties him to this person, all for one. But what it kind of means is that Deku is the main character of his own life, but not the world. And he has a responsibility to himself. To a certain degree, that's something that he needs to come to the realization of. His worth is not directly contingent upon, all for one and the one for all dynamic. That's just what he's been valuing because heroes are so valuable in their society, of course. So I think that because the world functions in a way that they purposely do not acknowledge or treat Deku like the main character, because they're like, no, we are heroes. Because at the end of the day, being a superhero, it does not make you special. Like, this isn't like a DC comic or a Marvel comic where, okay, I'm Spider-Man, but there's like 500 other niggas that's doing it like me. Like, that's not the case for My Hero Academia. There's thousands of niggas doing it like you. The Pussycat Dolls was like, damn, we was only 400 and something. That's barely a fall off because of the amount of heroes they had in surplus. And that's only counting like individual heroes, not also their sidekicks. I don't think the sidekicks get factored into the rankings. So when you look at somebody like Endeavor who has like 50 sidekicks, all of a sudden you're like, man, that's thousands upon thousands of heroes and sidekicks. So he's not that special. He just has a specific kind of special quirk that happens to interact and have a beef tied to it, to another quirk. And then Mellows came through with the super chat. Deku took the initiative to look for someone he noticed was not well. That's a leader right there.
Yeah, or it's good friendship thing. I mean,
that's what I was talking about, like the emotional aspects, the emotionally, connecting with people.
I really think when talking about leaders, Deku has been, as you said, regressing, because if you're talking about Bakugo, he was bad at actually acknowledging other people, but he gets definitely better at that. And Deku still doesn't feel like he has the confidence to actually say, yes, I'm the leader. And he's actually actively pushing, until like 3 chapters ago, actively pushing people away, which isn't necessarily leader stuff. So he has been regressing. And I like the idea that maybe this is the first sign of this wall that he's hitting. But I needed to hit harder. Like, this can't be everything.
Well, the way I look at it is, especially if Aoyama decides to fight Deku, we know that anger makes Deku lose control. How many of us here feel like Aoyama would actually survive a 45% St. Louis smash to the face?
No, but I don't think Deku.
Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap. I only say.
Yo.
No. Hold on. Now, when you say survive, there's just people that got brain damage and crippled for life. There's people that got brain damage and crippled for life, but they survive, but they're not alive. You feel me?
Wait. What if Aoyama does what he did from the second movie, where he like bugs out, does some big ass laser blast, and then Deku's like the seconds, and then they clash. Oh my god!
I don't think Deku will lose control like that to actually like punch a hole into Aoyama. But that said, honestly, Aoyama, I don't think he can take a lot. So,
but like, think about it with the thing with Aoyama though, is that ultimately we've seen Deku lose control as we like back in joint training. Deku was kind of wilding out versus, Shigaraki, a bit more understandable, of course.
Homeboy at 317.
But like, think about that. Like, Black Whip came out because he was getting angry and lost control of the stability of his quirk. So it's like,
but he now has all his quirks, right?
To a certain degree. But to a certain degree, like, and then like, if you think back, we already mentioned it earlier in the stream, Deku getting angry and slipping up to 8%. So we could have that Deku being angry and like slipping up and like constantly losing control. That could be setting up for this conflict. That could have been that foreshadowing of like, he's eventually going to slip up against someone. And when
say that if he kills Aoyama, I'm not gonna forgive him for that. I like Aoyama.
I know. If he kills Aoyama, man, that's the wall that we needed, guys.
I'm fucking weak.
He killed him.
I'm gonna go on Twitter like, yo, is he still a bitch now? Y'all still think he a bitch? He just killed somebody.
He killed his own friend.
Yeah, he killed his own friend. What y'all gonna do? Let me just tell you what would happen if he really hit that nigga with a 45% or 50% smash.
Split in half.
Think you got think. All for one has been playing.
Yo.
He gonna look just like that.
Yo, East. I remember before Deku versus where they happened, when I was on my Omni-Man shit, I was like, he gonna rip that belt off, he gonna snap that shit. What if he do that now?
Oh no.
Like, give me that shit.
What if he about to beat that nigga Aoyama ass, but he put a daredevil, he started yelling at All for One in the sky. It's all because of you. I will end you. And then All for One's like,
no, man.
No, obviously, like, Aoyama doesn't have to be going for the sacrifice play. It's just that's kind of what that callback just kind of feels like. Well,
right.
If we get that fight
at the church, we are ready for anything.
Oh God!
Because I just gotta point it out. Like, it's a possibility, and like, I don't think Deku could actually fight. I don't think Deku is capable of fighting the Traitor and not losing control.
Oh man,
I just can't. I don't see Deku having that in him.
And Aoyama's not a scrub either. Aoyama's not a scrub, so he really gonna have to try.
Like, because if Deku got that upset at Monoma just saying Bakugo caused the fall of All Might, you think he's not gonna be even more upset when he's confronting the nigga who caused Bakugo to get kidnapped, which led to that?
And everybody got hurt.
Bakugo's felt. The way that like everybody got injured at training camp, the fact that like these
he did a lot of shit.
Like,
he did
everything
so much,
is his
bro.
fault. Everything
Like,
is his fault from the beginning.
On God, bro. And then I really feel for him when he says, yo, after Camino, I thought it was over. So that means everything we saw of Aoyama after Camino was genuine. That was really him.
Yes.
But before that, he was the spy. He was setting us up.
But that's the thing too. Is like, but that's the thing that works so well with this, because it's like we know this nigga, if he was a traitor, he was being forced into it. Every way he moved, he was trying to tell them. And we know that nigga was pure heart. So going back again, Nezu wasn't, like I said, we already figured out last week why the traitor couldn't happen before this, because All For One was gone. And then they said, the next time we'll keep on the lookout, next time a league makes a move. But he wasn't attached to the league. It's All For One, who's lived like 100 and plus years. And so he got connects all types of different ways. And he not finna tell Shake Rock about all his connections over the course of 100-something years. He finna, All For One, he gonna move how he move. So this all lines up logically, but it's like, okay, now it's like, now the retros were looking at everything. We knew this nigga was pure heart, and the way he being manipulated. Oh boy! Now I like, you went too far, bro. You playing my other kids. It was one thing playing my villain kids, but now you playing my other kids, nigga.
Nah, that's the thing.
Don't do that.
Like we talked when I was talking about like last week about the fact that maybe All For One has like families like that are like straight loyalty to him. You know what I mean? And it is something like right now, you just had to see right now with Aoyama, because they make the pact with the devil, they had to do their part of the bidding, you know what I mean? But right now, man, I don't know everything can happen right now. Like Aoyama, if he dies and on Deku's hand, I would be happy. Give Deku some trauma. That makes his character better.
Yo, Nadir, yes. Aoyama is the reason Midoriya's arms got scarred. Yes, that too. He fucked his arms up. Like he
guys.
God, bro.
Yeah, but guys, just imagine that it is just to prepare him to kill Shigaraki.
Or confront him. This is the test, bro. This is the test. His friend.
This is the test.
Hey, guess what? You got one on that MC talk. Here you go.
Okay, that's what's crazy is that I feel like Aoyama always got done how Hawks got done. Yeah, so we're gonna need some information so we can get in there. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to, come in. And Aoyama's always like, all right, yeah, all right, I'll cave. You got it. Also, speaking of that, training camp art. I'm pretty sure that confirms, because we've always been like, did Dobby just look at that nigga and just be like, all right, I guess I won't cook that one.
I don't think he knew. Yeah. I think Dobby just didn't care. So, he might have known though.
My thing is, do you remember what Muscular said to Deku though?
Where's the kid called Bakugo?
You're on the kill list.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Twice said that to Shoto too.
Yeah. So like multiple people mentioned being on the kill list. So if there was a list of people that they kill, a list of people that they would kidnap, then it kind of makes sense if there was, don't touch that kid.
They did lock eyes, but then why would Aoyama be scared? Unless he just didn't know.
He's at the end of the day, these are like the League of Villains. It's not All For One directly 100%. He doesn't know if they're gonna actually.
And he blasted the compressor in the face too.
Think about USJ. They pulled up to kill everybody. Wasn't no.
He left, bro. He wasn't even there.
See?
He said it's a secret. That's how I know that. That's how I know that shit was eating away at him. He was trying to get somebody to figure it out.
He was bro. It's so sad how he was begging for somebody just to know. And it's like, you got a secret and you try to tell somebody, but you just can't tell them. And it's just like, nigga's giving all the clues he can. I can't say anything, but I'm saying something. It's like, nigga, notice me, please. Oh, bro, I broke when that nigga was crying. I'm the despicable villain. Munumi. I said, nah, bro, no, it's not you. You're not a villain, nigga.
Wait, we've all seen the movie, right?
Nope.
I have.
When Rhodey went to the helicopter, and then you found out what his quirk was later, Tarnish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Bro, I peeped from the bar where his quirk was, honestly, in the beginning.
All right, it's enough on you.
Right, like, And I think when Aoyama did that, he knew like he was cutting, like making a huge risk. The other thing about that that's kind of funny is that since Aoyama's laser is like so blatantly blue, him training by shooting it up into the air is also just a good way to give away their location.
Somebody said that too. I was gonna bring it up, but I was like, when you brought up the porta potty shit, I was like, you kind of blasted into the sky too. Like, but Bakugo was doing the same thing. He was blasting his explosives into the air.
I know. I'm just trying to figure out why we're bringing like. Do you guys think at the very least he is going to attempt combat or something to clear his parents?
I have no idea right now. I don't even know like how Deku is gonna feel about this. Like where he's gonna be at mentally from this. He could either think about All for One. He could think about like all the traumatic things that happened because of those events. Like it's so much that could really happen next chapter. Like I have no idea.
That's the beauty.
I'm floored once again, bro. I'm floored once again. I've been checkmated. I don't know. I really don't. Especially with the flashback to the cheese, like the I know. What was he really talking about? Was he actually talking about their compatibility, or was there more to that I know? Like, I know you are their target or something like that. Like, I really don't know right now. If they fight though, Deku might lose control. He really might, because too much pain was caused because of like it was too much pain.
Now that's gonna trigger some stuff. Trigger some stuff during that because it's like
I want to hit the super chat real quick just because I don't think we'll have to spend as much time on this one. Because Nader came through and said, if y'all have time, other issue with Hori is that he does the extreme version of show don't tell. This dude show so much I love it, but it can hinder the story. So I'm gonna tell you right now that I can't disagree with you entirely on that being, and like I don't necessarily consider that a flaw because I like it, but it can definitely hinder a proper or enjoyable experience for some people because Horikoshi very much seems to think everybody like reads or watches or like looks at the same stuff that he does, just based on the way like he like casually integrates some of the more like interesting scientific aspects into his story, like Nightingale being an alloy that was specifically is like very much favored for space travel, and then thinking about how that's the alloy that was being used for a capture weapon, factoring in that, you know, the story starts with him saying that if the advent of quirks hadn't happened, we might be in space. You realize that like he was basically pulling from like actual space tech and like having that space tech advance, but on Earth for different purposes than originally expected, which is why you can kind of understand Dobby having clothes that withstand such high temperatures. So I understand, yeah, he definitely overshows because he, like, you wouldn't think like, oh yeah, Nightingale is this real alloy that we use that is used for spaceships and their hulls to make sure that they don't do all this because it's a memory alloy that you heat and cool to certain temperatures and that leads it to interact certain ways and blah 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 blah. Like,
and you want to know something about that too? You know how you can really add to Nader's point? Well, I ain't never heard of that shit till you just said something.
Momo mentions it as a one-off during final exam arc when she's recreating as Owl Scarf.
See? Okay, now I remember how to do saying that shit. But that once again, like, I don't even know that shit was really real like that, cuz.
And then Mello came through with All Might retirement, Aizawa's quirk nerf, Bakugo kidnapping, Deku's arms, Ragdoll search, which is another retirement basically.
Fact. I forgot to bring that up too, Mello. Search, he's the reason they got search, which we know how dangerous that is. Bakugo unfortunately was wrong. That quirk has not been destroyed. They still have that. That is a very terrible quirk for them to have due to Aoyama.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, actually, I can't believe you've done this. This is actually Araki really gonna sit down and explain surface tension or something, but Hori's like centrifugal force. Everyone knows that. That is a perfect way to describe the difference between how JoJo's and MHA is written sometimes.
Yeah, but you know what? That's what you get into when you go to JoJo. Since stands were introduced, you knew how that shit was gonna go down. This is like what they on like Part Down, like Stone Ocean, no, not Stone Ocean. The Steel Ball run just ended like a few months ago, so it's like, if I'm not mistaken, that was the latest one, right? Was it Steel Ball run?
Yeah. Wait.
It was JoJolian.
Yeah. JoJolian, yeah, JoJolian.
Yeah.
So it's like the nigga with the sail outfit, the fucking sailor boy outfit. Yeah, it's like Yeah, nigga, you know what you get into in JoJo because we on like part 9 by now. You know what you doing. You getting that bitch. But hold on, I think somebody bitch ass nigga Calambrata said the way Ayama was hiding in the bushes right in front of the league makes it look like he told them where the students were and started to hide. No, he just most likely how it went down was just that he didn't know how they were going to attack or what they were going to actually do.
Yeah,
because it's not. Think about how one moves. He would have just been like, "Hey, we're going to this camp out here to do this." He's like, "Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you, young Yuga," and just send a nigga about his way. He wouldn't have been like, "Okay, we're going to attack at night, this, that, and the other," because he just gave Shigaraki the information. Shigaraki did what he wanted. He said, "Yo, these are your pawns. You do what you want to do." This is all Shigaraki's plan, and he let Dabi lead the charge while he sat back.
Shigaraki might have encountered Aoyama like when he broke through the gate, unless he really just decayed that gate and on some petty shit and left. But I don't know.
I believe that was just a scare tactic. To be honest, because you don't really need somebody to come up and
help. Funny. He a funny nigga for doing that.
Yeah, because think about it, you don't really need somebody to come up there and help Shigaraki do that because he could do it now. He could do it before.
Yeah, I just thought about this too. Another thing that Aoyama has to answer for, like, how many kids exactly got poisoned during the camp? They're all gonna be mad at him, like, or at least upset with him. To some degree.
Shit!
Yeah, of course. All people are gonna be upset. Everybody is gonna be upset at him.
No, because people think that when he gets back to 1A, it's just gonna be happy rainbow and sunshine. It's like, oh, it's okay, Aoyama. It's all right. You've been selling us out. I promise you that's not gonna happen. I promise you that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but there's a massive difference between like happy and sunshine and kicking him out or whatever. I actually think that they will try to help him. I do think. I think they are gonna try to pull together and try to be there and try to understand what led to it. Of course, they will be upset though. I mean, but you can be upset and still try to help somebody, right?
I mean, everybody not going to come around.
Who's capable? How many of them are capable of doing that?
Not everybody gonna come around in one swing and just be like, "Hi,"
Yeah, not in one swing, but I kind of, for whatever reason, I don't really see them being so angry that they won't try to help him.
I need that from some. I need that from some of them at least.
But then at the same time, it's like, do we like this? Is the benefit of this one? It's so many routes. Can't nobody form one particular headcanon because they're gonna go two ways. Because this ain't just no fight. So it gotta go this way or that way, and then niggas get mad because it's only 2 routes it can go. Now at this rate, it go a lot of routes. Who says we get back to the kids? Who's like, what does Deku do after this? It's like, this is why it's very interesting right here, because it's like, all right, we go back to the kids. Then what happens from there? Do they all rally up behind them? They more angry off one than I am. What if somebody like who just said that? Cameron Bailey. Civil War starts a month of class and like not fully fighting, but just like them breaking up, and that could like then what from there is like, all right, then you guys go about your way, and we going off the patrol. Fuck this shit. We ain't rolling with this traitor, this snake ass nigga. It's like the amount of ways.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, bro, some of them have to be like, nah, I can't fuck with you. Some of that, bro. I'm kind of expecting that a little bit from Bakugo, but I don't know.
Of course.
But some of them,
can see.
Like, there's no way all of them are really going to be on some, okay, it's fine. Like, nah, some of them really got hurt. Like, they're in the camp 15.
No, of course. Like, I don't think they're all going to forgive. And I don't think it's all going to be fine. I do think there will be some resentment. Some will be angry. But I do think overall, I think there will be people who want to help him. And I don't think there will be people, I don't think those who don't forgive him will go out of their way to make his life miserable after that.
All I'm gonna say is the best thing I can see, the happiest thing I can see. I don't see a world where Aoyama doesn't get his ass beat by Deku and he gets to go be around Ochako or Bakugo with this coming out without getting his ass beat.
Bakugo, bro?
By Bakugo, you mean? Or by Deku?
Kidnapped.
No, Ochako, like, I can see a couple people wanting to put them paws on Aoyama for that.
No, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand. Do you mean Bakugo and Ochako are gonna beat him up, or do you mean, because I didn't understand if you meant Deku is gonna beat him up?
Oh no, like Deku beating him up would probably be more of a mercy than what Ochako or Bakugo would want.
All right, now I understand.
Yep.
Like Ida,
the class rep. You said
don't bring back Hosu Ida. Now he's hypersonic.
You've endangered the lives of every one of my fellow classmates.
You said
he's gonna take his Batman voice. Bro, what did you do?
Let's not even bring up the fact that Deku is wearing his USJ fit right now too, and that was the first villain attack in the manga caused by Aoyama. Like it's really hitting. This is all hitting me right now on another level, bro. Like this is the best way this reveal could have gone. Like this is the best way it could have gone.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about all the things he did, do we think that's just one thing I'm kind of confused about or don't quite understand yet? Is why he helped them in forest training. Like, why did he save Tokoyami?
Because he felt guilt. He wanted to atone. He's not a bad person. That's pretty clear. He's not a bad person. It's like he literally said this chat, like, "Yo, I the guilt was eating me alive, and this wasn't the first incident that he did." It's like people do bad shit all the time and like kind of regret it halfway through. It's just like he didn't want to see people he started caring for get fucked up because he already seen that shit kind of happen in USJ before. He's like, no, and then, like I said, he probably didn't even know what the fucking plan was. All for one, don't have to tell him nothing. All he says is, "You're a guinea pig. You do what I say. I tell your parents." And he gonna be like, give him the information, and there's no real way of knowing that All for One said, "All right, at this time we're gonna do this." He probably didn't even tell him shit because they had
definitely
no
didn't.
At the time. So
definitely didn't tell him.
Yeah, so
All for One's not. I doubt All for One directly said, "If you don't listen to me, I will kill you," because he's not that type. He would just give off that vibe, like, "Yo, if you don't do what I want, then who knows what's gonna happen."
But that's the thing. They said since he was a kid, he been following orders to this nigga, so he knows he probably been there one time or another, or the way his parents moving now.
Okay, time out. You know what's crazy about that I just now realized?
What?
This likely means that since Aoyama, there's a chance that since Aoyama was a child, he on some level has operated as like bait or like hung out with kids or something like that, so that All for One could pluck quirks from them.
Oh God, no! Please don't stop with that. Yeah, that was.
Listen, if we go down that route, ain't no going back.
No, because think about that. Because if Aoyama has been following his order for years, plural, the quirk's only getting better.
Oh,
come here. After all, he said UA's like a 3-star. He said UA's like a 3-star restaurant. So, wait, did you say 3 or did you say 4?
He said 3.
Yeah, I'm assuming he was going with Michelin stars.
Yeah, now whatever the highest rank is, because UA's that shit.
For Michelin stars, it's 3. So since we're going with the restaurant analogy,
hey man, listen, that shit busting is busting. Oh, I don't know.
So yeah, like,
bro,
you better believe he be stopping by nurseries. Ujiko's there.
Right, you know him.
Yeah, you mean good thing he wasn't there during provisional license training arc, because all these kids would be without quirk now.
Bro, you know him and Ujiko's up in that bitch getting giddy as fuck together. It was like, Ujiko, he like, All for One, listen, look, I got a quirk right here, okay? This one, she can create black holes with her mind, okay? And this one over here, listen, he has fire, but he can warp his fire. And he's like, I'm like, nigga, what's wrong with you?
No, it would be kind of suspicious if like the 5th kid in a row loses their quirk after visiting Aoyama.
Well, the trick would be like you would invite them out to big events, you would have big parties, stuff like that.
His mom said that this chapter. He's like, they'll think it's just communication between civilians. They've been doing this.
They know what they're doing, bro. They know what they're doing. Damn, these niggas got cold ways to talk just so that, man. Oh, but I can answer your question you did earlier, how to feel about Aoyama's parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate them, because what they did was out of love for their child, because we seen what Deku went through full force. And we seen what happens when you're an outcast in this world, even if you do have a quirk. So you being at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, And it's like they did what they wanted to, and then that fear overrode them, and seeing how off one is, they still trash, but I don't hate them niggas because I understand. Because listen, nigga, you know who off one is? He is that. I don't care what anybody say. He is that nigga to a regular nigga. He is that nigga. He and they didn't know what they was getting into because guess what? That nigga wasn't supposed to exist. Like they said, nobody knows that nigga existed until Camino because he's not supposed to exist. He's the boogeyman in the shadows.
No, I absolutely agree. I think for me, when it comes to villains and traitors, especially cowardice is always the characteristic I can get most behind in terms of I understand why they do it, and I feel bad for them. Actually, like I have no doubt that they didn't want to get there, and it's just they're cowards, sure. And in a hero show, cowards are kind of not what we want. But
and they stick out like sore thumbs.
Right, they stick out.
I let it slide because they normal people.
Right.
They ain't sign up like, yo, I'm being this bitch. I got my suit. I folded nigga. What's popping? They no. They was like, oh, we just want
the part that made me go they trash is that you have to save us, you, but don't say that.
Yeah.
No, that shit was that. That's when they got
don't say that.
No, it's trash, but it's also what a coward would say, right?
It was that was pathetic. That's when
because y'all in danger together. Bro. Like why he gotta save you? Why ain't you saving him?
Exactly. Don't say that. Especially because you know he wants to be a hero and you got this quirk so he can follow his dreams. You manipulating him. Please save us. Like you trying to make it seem like you giving him a chance to be a hero. No.
But also, my thing is that anybody who can contact All For One has to know some shit about All For One.
I don't know, because maybe they were sent it to Ujiko. Ujiko is like this great quirk specialist. So there is a viable option that they just, when their kid didn't have a quirk at age, I don't know, 4 or 5, they went to a quirk specialist because they have the money. And the quirk specialist just told them, yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah, I know this guy. He's down the alley at the street. I can meet him at like 9 p.m. at night.
Okay, so I guess part of it also comes down, for me, it comes down to how because of the kind of rich Aoyama's family seems to be, they seem like old money rich. I feel like they would be established. So I feel like it's hard to believe that they wouldn't know about All For One, just as like a more established family that's been around a long time.
I don't know.
So, but like they could be more recently rich and just happen to have really stylized, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also a way to be rich without having to know all the dark people in.
But more of I'm just saying because of how long All For One's existed as an entity, it would be odd to me that they wouldn't at least know a couple people who got favors from.
I just mean, I think that not everybody who's rich just because they have been rich for 3 generations, especially if they might actually be rich in terms of from another country, like if there is actually some French ancestry there, and maybe the name is from the father and the money is from the mother's side who's French, then why would they know some villain in Japan if they were rich and French?
I just have a hard time believing people like accidentally got to All For One.
Honestly, it's this the craziest part is that, like, you know, All For One really, this is how it all started, right? It was All For One parents. It was like, you know, it was All For One's parents, and then I mean All For One's parents. Aoyama's parents are All For One. It was like, so tell us about your son. It's like, oh, I have a perfect reasoning for him. They drinking wine and laughing. They saying his name. It's like, oh, you so funny, this, that, and other. Then he's like, you know, you do me a favor. And then like then it starts to get more and more creepy and more forceful. The favors start to get a little bit more wild. Then eventually there's like, we can't do this no more. And then the next thing you know, he making Aoyama daddy shake his ass in the corner while he clapping him on the cheeks. And honestly, I really feel bad for Aoyama having to witness that his daddy twerking for All For One. He got that nigga ass. Boy. That is horrible.
We just rent places. I have no idea how we got to that.
He got the nigga shake daddy. Aoyama daddy shaking his ass out here.
Oh, wait, hold on, wait. Aniki, question.
What's up?
So, how you think Aizawa feeling about this?
Oh no, bro. Aizawa gonna take that personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also feel like Aizawa would be more mad with the parents in All for One than he would be with Aoyama.
Oh yeah, this is the kind of thing that would get Aizawa to whoop your ass.
Yeah, but the parents' ass.
Aizawa gonna have the venge from hell. I'm kind of scared who go up against this nigga because you gotta.
He's gonna be heated.
I do somewhat hope that the adults are going to be a voice of reason and show some understanding for Aoyama, because I understand if you're like a 16-year-old kid who's fighting a war and in this bad situation where they all have a lot of responsibility, that you are angry that another 16-year-old kid doesn't have maybe the same courage or reason, whatever, that they are on the wrong side. I get that if you're like angry at somebody your age, but as an adult, I feel like you should look at Aoyama and say, yeah, okay, he's a 16-year-old kid who's been pressured into this.
Oh yeah, no, like, dude.
So I want the adults to be reasonable at least.
I just know that like Aizawa, as protective as he is going to be upset, but he's of like, course. Yeah, like you said, he's going to be lashing out at the parents, and that's where I think most hostility is going to be aimed, except for with the kids. I think the kids are going to be more frustrated with Aoyama himself.
Personal.
Especially because
Aizawa spoke to the parents too. Like, you know what I'm saying? True. He went to his house before.
Because it's like, you went on that mission to get Deku back with us.
Knowing.
And Cameron Bailey. I like the idea because like I think it's odd. Like I said, I don't think that you can just like randomly meet All for One. So them being AFO fans or sympathizers or like friends that he's had throughout the years makes way more sense to me. Or like, especially because to me, depending on how much money you're talking about here, there's a good chance that like I just don't see All for One completely letting you get super rich and not having at least a little bit of your money coming his way. He seems like the ultimate bully on the block. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were genuine friends that felt that way about him. But then like when their child started getting forced to do stuff, it was like, oh wait, second thoughts.
That was prime All for One too.
He the type of nigga to buy the acres of land on a city block. And they'll be like, well, you know, technically this is my property. So, you know, but I'll cut you a deal, not evict you. You know, you just do me this little favor. Give me 15% of your profits.
Nader said Aizawa is gonna get his wish. Aoyama is definitely graduating after this. I guess it depends on what you consider graduating. Because
I mean, he's gonna become a hero, right?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought about too. Because I tweeted that out. Some people were like, "Why would Aizawa and Aoyama interact?" I'm like, bro, did y'all forget? Like Aizawa cares about all his students equally. Like all of them. There's no favoritism. He truly cares about all of them. And there was a big ass double spread in like the volume of him thinking about talking about them graduating and shit. Aoyama was there. Like, he gonna be.
He care about. He the home teacher. Those his babies. They've grown up.
Also, Britt came through with the super chat. Do you think AFO gave Tenko his decay quirk? Was the guy in the suit? So, All for One easily could have been Tenko. Like, I wouldn't put it, or the dude that like dropped Tenko off. I wouldn't put it past him to be doing that. I do think that the story gets weird if he gave Shigaraki decay though, because that makes it where he took a quirkless person and was like, all right, I'm going to give them this super destructive quirk. Then I'm going to make them a vessel for me. Whereas if somebody, especially because like if what you're trying to get around is quirk singularity theory, it doesn't necessarily make sense to pick someone who's already got a body that isn't even having a quirk. So that part kind of confuses me from that angle. So I think I wouldn't put it past All for One to have made Tenko's quirk go active. But I do kind of hope that he didn't give Shigaraki decay, just because it's kind of, to me, it's a little funky if he did that, just because, like,
Right. I think there's one more totally different thing we have to discuss: the popularity polls.
That's a great topic.
What's President Mike doing here, please?
They recognize his greatness. That's what he's doing here. They recognize his greatness.
I love him, but top 10 and Shinso.
They had Shindo last year. Let's not act surprised. Let's not act surprised. They had Shindo last year.
No, but I'm talking about Shinso.
Yeah, I know, and they had Shindo last year. So Shinso being here shouldn't surprise you. The anime played a big part in this. I know for a fact because the movie and that shit.
Rody,
I think present Mike to me is the biggest surprise. It's just
not me because honestly, he usually do be in the top 20.
Yeah, he's always been up there somewhere, but he's never been top 10. And has he done anything
in the anime? No.
Yeah,
in the war, yeah.
DJ Punch
recently.
DJ Punch
in the war, yeah. My boy killed him. I remember people want him dead. I want people want him dead. Oh no, take Mike, keep Aizawa alive, and my boy showed out on these niggas.
I'm surprised Bakugo won again. Honestly,
I'm not.
Well, I'm not surprised he won, but it's like, damn, again. After all this,
bro, he apologized, and bro, we already knew what it was when he apologized. Come on now, we knew damn well what was going to happen when that nigga apologized.
Yeah, bro, and Deku was playing second fiddle. Like I see the Endeavor and Deku parallels now.
Always does.
But you know what?
Endeavor is missing. Uraraka is missing too.
Yo, Sayas, that pissed me off. So you said that you don't mind Shinso being there because Mike was the biggest one for you. But what if I told you Shinso beat Endeavor by 4 points?
Yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I've seen it this time 11, but I haven't seen it for so.
Endeavor could have been here. He could have been on this double spread if he got 5 more votes.
Damn.
Yeah, Jalen.
I want to know which animal he would have gotten. Damn it.
That nigga would have got a tiger. Stop playing.
Oh God, he would have.
Bengal tiger. A ferocious, vicious ass Bengal tiger. Probably was some fire.
And Shindo got more votes than Shigaraki too, but I'm not even worried about that. Here's the one that really surprised me. Dabi got more votes than Shigaraki. Dabi's moving up in the world, man.
I can see that.
Dabi Clinic.
He's moving up.
Yeah, I'm looking at the polls now. Jiro at 20th. I know Tarnish was hurt.
Chill. It's alright though, because no females in the top 10. Fuck it. If you can't get the best girl in there, ain't nobody in there.
We big gay. Big sauce fest up here. Meat gang.
Lady McGunt at 27.
Let me start.
Deku's freckles at 37.
More than twice.
Don't remind me of that bullshit, man.
How Deku freckles get more votes than twice?
Do not remind me of that bullshit.
And he got the Sadman's Parade episode in the anime,
bro.
I don't get it.
Okay, so this is what I said at the start of the stream. I no longer want to hear people using, oh well, I saw some random person in Japan or from Japan, in theory, they're Japanese because they're using Japanese on Twitter, say that they really like the villains. So clearly Japan actually likes the villains. What popularity poll, like I could think, wasn't there, I think it was maybe the 5th popularity poll where Toga and Shigaraki made top 10.
Yeah, when they were doing the fucking the war arc. It was literally in the war arc because they had the war motif from the future.
Like
Shigaraki was 6th, I think.
One time, and then I think there was one other. I think Shigaraki was 6th in that one, and then I think he was 8th in another one. But
it was a lot. No. In the last one, like he barely beat Shindo. In the last one, he barely beat Shindo, and then this year Shindo beat him. But now they're both not in the top 10.
Yeah, like let's see.
So I can't
no villains at all.
The manga has now sidelined the villains for quite a time. And in the anime in the last season, MHA happened, the NBA happened, I forgot that.
That's what I said. I was like, I'll take the L on Shigaraki this year because Horikoshi's been doing him bad. Not bad, and he's like pushing him to the side, but he's been focusing on other shit. Like he really ain't been in the forefront. So I don't even blame him.
Yeah, but the thing with Shigaraki is also that it's kind of up in the air where he is as a character currently.
That's what I'm saying. He's in limbo right now.
What he's doing.
So I don't even blame him. I'm like, you know what? All right, but it's crazy how All For One don't nobody in Japan like All For One. I don't see him nowhere on the list.
Rightfully so.
Is this the first one where All Might doesn't make top 10?
No, there's been a few. He didn't make top 10.
Yeah, right. I see. I haven't been.
Oh, but speaking of Japan, I like All for One. And that nutsack face ass nigga. It's confirmed that Horror Culture watches the church. Cause that shit translated to call that nigga nutsack face. So nobody else around this bitch call that nigga nutsack face, but us in here.
Also, I just double checked. Only the 5th and 6th polls have villains in them in the top 10 for Japan. Only 2.
That's crazy.
And then the French, Shigaraki got 5th place. Like they know what's up.
See, what's crazy to me is this: the contradictions of it. It's like Japan can really understand and read their story, but nigga, they can't vote on characters worth shit.
And then the 5th poll is the first time All Might falls out of the top 10. And then I think he stays at 13th place every.
Yeah, he doesn't come back in 6th.
He goes 13, 14, 13th.
Listen, I can't believe you done this. We gonna handle that. We're gonna handle that issue very soon. We ain't get into that topic. We gonna handle that. I got something to say about that in the closing argument.
I'm kind of pissy about just a movie character being in top 10.
I like Rhodey, so
yeah, me too. But I kind of want to keep the different installations of the franchise separate. It kind of like that would be like having a vigilante character suddenly in the top 10.
Oh, imagine Koichi in the top 10.
No, Koichi.
I think can't they vote for him if they wanted to, or like it don't work like that?
They could.
They could. He's an MHA character.
You're allowed. Like Naruto got votes in some of the polls.
Yeah, that Horikoshi's shoe got fucking a vote in the poll. I don't think he was gonna put his shoe in there.
So
Deku's freckles.
That shit crazy.
Yeah, like Deku's freckles.
Gran Torino's cape got a vote too.
At one point, that shit, them niggas.
Deku's shoes got a vote one year.
I'm mad that Monoma is down there at 40. He should absolutely be higher up than Ojiro.
Yeah.
Ojiro got drip, so sorry.
Ojiro's compensating with his drip.
Yeah, Kirishima must have really made an impact during the overall.
Ever since
left the top 10 cents.
Everybody likes Kirishima.
That nigga ain't Ida struck some type of chord in Japan because them niggas ain't never left.
Nah, Ida never left. Even when the West was calling him useless, that he's sucked now. He never left Japan top 10.
Yeah, them niggas, him and Kirishima, when they went in there, Kirishima, when he went in there, that nigga didn't let go. He did not let go. Boy, that shit crazy.
It's probably the staying stuff for Ida why he still gets votes to this day. That probably really connected with a lot
that's
of people.
crazy, bro. Like, honestly, that's fucking crazy. That nigga has not switched once. That's fucking way. That's blowing me baffles. Well, we got any other topics, people?
I was about to say it's time to wrap up.
Yeah, I'm about to
start winding down. Real quick, let's go. Walk-ins, final thoughts.
Chapter is really good. Everybody. What else? Oh shoot, there was something I wanted to say. I don't know. We'll see what happens next week with Deku confronting Aoyama. He might be angry, yes, but I don't know if, because I know you guys were talking about like his anger coming out if he fought Aoyama. I think if they ended up having a confrontation, I don't think anger is the right emotion he would be feeling. It would probably be more of a sadness towards Aoyama and then an anger redirected at All for One, making round 2 even a little more fiercer than Deku and Shigaraki's confrontation, which will then in turn lead to him losing again. But yeah, great chapter. Looking forward to next week and seeing what happens with everything.
All right. Now, say yes.
I really like this chapter. I think Aoyama being the traitor fit perfectly into what we knew of him. I also like the part that just because he's always been there and he's a character I actually care about, even if he's not my favorite or anywhere close to my favorites, but he's a character I feel an emotional connection and a certain nostalgia about because he's just always been there. other than some of the others that just got some development later on. I like seeing some class interaction again and going back into training, even though I hope that we won't spend too much time on training overall, because story is just too exciting at the moment to spend too much time with that. I do hope that now that we finally know who the traitor is, we're going to get some emotional hurt and pain and heartache, just tears, please. But other than that, great chapter, putting everything into place. Yeah, and I still kind of feel for the parents, to be honest. Aoyama is in such a bad situation with so much pressure, but I just as I said, cowardice of all the reasons why someone would go to villainy is the one I can understand most, because I think I would do it too. But yeah, that's it, I think, of the chapter. I like it.
All right. Hey, look at that. The chat giving you love. Say yes. Look at you being beloved. And now you're right, Alves. Tarnish.
This chapter is a masterpiece. Like, I've read this chapter so many times. It hits me every time I read it. Like, I think the thing I like the most about this chapter, like more than the dialogue, more than the reveal, is just the art. Like, he really properly conveyed these feelings coming from Aoyama. Like, every panel he was in, I felt the despair. I felt like the regret, the sorrow. Like, I felt all of that from just looking at the panels without reading anything. Like, just the look on his face in every panel. He's so distraught. He's so hurt. He's so like, he's really pulling on his face. Like, as he's talking to Deku, he's like, I am a despicable villain. Like, he's so bothered by it. It's just so powerful. The paneling and the dialogue, along with the art, it just all comes together beautifully. And him being the traitor, like, I've always thought about it because I'm like, he's always been sus to me. He's always been like that character where it's like you want to pay attention to him, but you don't know why you want to pay attention to him. And I figured out why that was recently when I rewatched the Cheese episode in the anime. Deku said, before Aoyama did that weird shit on the balcony, Deku said his words and actions all have impact, but you never know what he's thinking. That is Aoyama-kun. And I was like, you're right. I was like, that is perfectly describes him. Like, everything he does has an impact, but you never know what is actually going on in his head. And I felt that reading this chapter. Like, it's just, the writing has just been really good. Like, I'm really excited for what happens next. Like, this is a masterpiece chapter. That's all for me.
And then Ponzu, am I reading anything off for you, or are you good? Oh, there we go. Ponzu's last words for the days are as follow. Hail Hori, first of all. These are my last words for today. I got a difficult week getting spoiled by Twitter. Tarnish and Archbishop East are here as evidence about how crazy people were these last 2 weeks on Twitter. I'm happy of these 2 chapters. I couldn't talk long, though, for family issues. Boom. So there's Ponzu's last words. Enjoyed the chapter. Just wanted y'all to, if you wanted to at least let y'all know that. All right, last, Archbishop East, get your final words in.
Watkins already went?
Yeah.
Oh, that was brief. All right. So I have something special for y'all. Okay. This will be the last, well, for a good long while, of big rants, especially made for me. Because once again, we're going to grow and we're going to defeat these doubters, haters, niggas can't take any type of accountability whatsoever. At this current state in the story, it is 336 chapters. We've come so far. There are things that been weighted and seedly planted and fleshed out here and there, and eventually they come back into the end of the story. Okay, and all it took was some faith, was some time, was some patience. That's all you had to do, was necessarily wait it out until you got to that point. But I don't know what it may be when you people start turning your backs on the ones you trust and love. Because for me, honestly, man, if I was in a relationship with somebody for over the course of maybe 5, 6, 7 years, and then I don't have the amount of trust to hear their explanation for something before I jump the gun and I jump down their throat and I accuse them of all these entire accusations without giving them just the slightest bit of leeway. Like I haven't been with them or been following them for the course of this amount of time. Like I haven't established this cachet with me the moments while I'm here. And then you can't really take the time out to maybe, I don't know, like, if I'm not enjoying it like this, let me be mature enough or take the step back to enjoy it like this or do this and the other. How about you compromise? But instead, you like to come here and weekly just grand and gripe and bitch and moan and complain. It's like, well, if points in case, you didn't like the Hakeguri review, right? And all you had to do is wait a week for it to all make sense completely, and then it's still not finished in order to get a fully fleshed out chapter and like a whole plot line being concluded, and even where it goes after that. Then honestly, it says so much about you as a person in your mental state that you can't even really comprehend to do that. I suggest you do grow up, because going through life like that, I don't know how far you'll ever make it. Honestly, got you grow up here. So I don't want to hear any excuses of the weekly judgment experience when you know everybody writes different, when you know how this guy does his thing. Okay. Now, if Chibi can take his L like a man and have his pride and grab his balls and say, I was a clown, now why can't you? It's as simple as that, man. It really is as simple as that. So I'm done wasting my energy on you niggas, because guess what? The church isn't a place for negativity and shit posting and drama. We don't need that shit. We didn't start that shit to care for that shit. And y'all can shove all that bullshit up your ass. I'm going to keep it $150 with you. All this Twitter drama, talking. Nigga, you're not going to fucking see me. I'm not going to see you. So guess what? You think I'm finna spend all day running back and forth, typing my fingers? Nah, kiss my ass. I'd rather be chilling in here with the people I respect, the people I love, and the people that got different opinions, but we can still come together at the end of the day to really fucking be something great. We can really give some people some hope and something to listen to, something to inspire people's day, because that's why we did this shit, and that's why we fucking here. And that's why I read this goddamn manga every fucking Friday, every fucking Sunday, whenever what comes out, any art. This shit inspires me, and this shit keeps me going week to week, man. This shit is truly something I'm really passionate about, and same everybody else here. So fuck acknowledging you bitch ass niggas that's always got something negative to say. If I'm too positive and you too negative, then you can stay on your side of the fence and I'll stay on mine with my niggas, with the people I fuck with. So honestly, throughout thick and thin, I appreciate every single body in this church to the end. I really do appreciate y'all, all your love, support, and everything you've ever done for this church and here in Horikoshi. It is okay to have differing opinions or little critiques, but it's not okay to jump the gun before somebody else has had a chance to actually explain themselves. I know y'all niggas not from America and you didn't get the motto that it's innocent to prove guilty, not guilty and proven innocent. But maybe
what is that supposed to mean? That motto is everywhere.
Maybe you may just need to run that back, because a lot of times the way y'all niggas
please.
Like I was saying, the way y'all niggas be moving, you never give anybody a chance ever. Whenever it was, whatever you do. So you know what? I don't need that negativity. I don't want it. You keep that shit over there. Over here, we good. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be me and hardcore shit and me and my niggas and the niggas that stay by his side. And do you know what they call me and why they call me? Undefeated of the motherfucking. I appreciate and love all y'all. That's my last rant for quite a long time. So, hell Hori, and peace out.
And then Nader came through with one last super chat, suggesting that we invite him into the chat next time.
I'm down. You've been too big of a help for over the years, bro. Day one.
I've been thinking about doing a stream where we let more people that have been long-time viewers on. And Nader's a member, because that would also be one of the requirements to get on. We might have something in the works.
A member's call.
Nikki, we should do hot takes video. We should do a hot takes stream from our member.
Should do that next time there's a break.
Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. Well, now we got a plan for another stream in the future, guys. I enjoyed this chapter. You should be getting a review on One Piece and MHA for me this week. Hope to see y'all later. Seriously appreciate you guys. Great chapter. Always appreciate the bishops. Y'all come through and make my day great. I appreciate you all.
You're making our day great, man.
You finna make niggas start crying in a bit, man.
Yeah, stop.
Been enough crying since Friday, dog. Chill.
Don't forget to drop your hail Hories, and don't take the reactionary super negative stuff too seriously. Let people be calm. analytical. Go with that approach. Don't always jump to the worst conclusions.